I'm actually an hour late, but yeah, thank you. I'm trying to stay on top of it. I gotta fix my schedule. I can't be fucking going to bed at 5 a.m. anymore. I forgot to start the timer. It's no big deal. We know when the show starts. I heard it could be ice, which might be much worse. I don't know. It just made landfall, didn't it? Hold on. I would rather it be snow than ice, I think. Best case is rain. Fuck it.
What you think about when you're born into a fire? Let them burn it out. Sell them to the richest buyer. They wanna let the world decay. They tell us lies and fade away, fade away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack.
At 4 p.m.
Listen up now, because we're never dropping out. Beat the odds, beat the big house. The brains are bigger than the doubt. We've been thinking for ourselves, never let the truth fade away. This is bigger than ourselves.
Looks like we're in the 10 to 20% for snow. And 40 to 50% for ice. For the National Weather Service. It was at 4 p.m. today. Who knows? So Trump confused Greenland and Iceland several times today in his speech. Carolyn Levitt's trying to pretend he didn't. But you can literally watch the speech. Like, she's yelling at people on Twitter saying, no, he didn't. His written remarks clearly said Greenland. He just said it was a chunk of ice. That's the music. Should have been the end of the timer, but it wasn't. I forgot to start it. Nick Shirley's testifying in front of the fucking Congress or the state legislature.
I wanted to thank you for watching Cold Beer Confessionals with Will Bird. I think that's just incredible. I've watched a few episodes and I'm just like very intrigued. But you know what I'm most intrigued in is Big Daddy's meat stick. I heard that it's very thick, like a good old German sausage. You know, Linda and her coochie
doesn't
loves
love
that.
Linda Benda?
Oh, never mind. Let's not go there. Anyways, I hope you have a good show and enjoy it as you can. There's a lot of weird things that go on, especially when it comes from the realm of Linda Benda land. So, enjoy the show. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Welcome everybody. I am Will Bird. This is the Cold Beer Confessional. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here. What's happening? What's up? I'm still sharing links because I have to do the Facebook differently now, but give me just a second. I think that's it. Done. Put a first like on that link, and then we're good, I think. What's happening, chat? Trump. Trump doing his thing. Someone sent me, tagged me in this. I think we found the full video already, but why was the message deleted? I don't know. It was a Nick Shirley clip. Here it is. He sounds so retarded all the time.
3 daycares. So in one building, there was, I believe, 3 daycares, and there was no children. And they were all receiving CCAP funding for separate.
They didn't show you children. Again, if you showed this random YouTuber my children, I'd be fucking pissed.
There was no children, and they were all receiving CCAP funding for separate daycares. There's one daycare we went to that one day it was closed by the government, and then that same day it was reopened underneath another name.
Yes. Because it's a 6-month process. You cannot transfer the licenses in that state. So what you do is if you want to buy a daycare, you say, hey, I want to buy this daycare. Okay, we'll sell it to you, but I need you to stay open. I don't want to lose the clients. You stay open until I get my approval for my licensing. Keep the kids, keep everything, and we'll go through this process together. Takes a few months to get the license. You close down your business. I open up my business same day. We kept the clientele.
And they both received CCAP funding. So in one building, there was...
God damn. It's rough, dude. I don't know. We're doing Davos first. It's too much retardation to cover. All right, let's count Iceland's. Remember, Trump's talking about Greenland. Oh, let me show you the tweet first. Hold on. Let's go here. This is ICE use of force directive has been all blacked out. Of course it has. I think I reposted a couple of them. Let me just go to my profile. So it says, yes, he did. There's a video. But we go to Carolyn Levitt. She's responding to Libby Dean. And Libby Dean says, during his World Economic Forum remarks, President Trump appeared to mix up Greenland and Iceland at least 3 times. Carolyn Levitt, the press secretary, who's supposed to be, telling us the fucking truth, says, no, he didn't, Libby. His written remarks referred to Greenland as a piece of ice because that's what it is. You're the only one mixing anything up here. Then we go back to the clip.
We'd be there for them. I don't know that they'd be there for us. So with all of the money we expend, with all of the blood, sweat, and tears, I don't know that they'd be there for us. They're not there for us on Iceland, that I can tell you.
They're not there for us on Iceland, that I can tell you. Does that sound like he's describing Greenland as a piece of ice? Not to mention, does Carolyn Levitt think that this is Greenland? Does she think that this floating piece of ice is Greenland and not the country behind it? Is that what she thinks? Is that what she thinks Greenland is? Anyways, clearly they're lying. We gotta watch. We just gotta watch it then. I got to turn off my camera for a second, grab some water bottles. I'll be right back. When I get back, we'll skip ahead.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. I guess we don't have enough seats today. Wow. In the last quarter century, a sitting president of the United States has come to Davos only twice. Both times it was Donald Trump.
By the way, remember, World Economic Forum, root of all evil, right? It's the Jews and the people who control the world and them in the World Health Organization, blah, 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 blah. But Trump shows up there. Weird.
So when I asked to serve in this new role that I have, he was one of the first leaders I called and invited to return. I first met the president about 25 years ago, but I worked most closely with him during the early months of COVID. This was March 2020. Markets were under extreme stress. Some economists were warning we could be headed towards a second Great Depression.
Trump was saying that it would just pass over. No need to do anything.
The extraordinary period was a president's willingness to bring together people from governments, from business, across institutions, across perspective, to think differently.
Asking people to inject light in their veins.
Decisively. That instinct to act, especially in pivotal moments, is one reason I think he values the World Economic Forum. It is a unique institution that brings together the largest combination of government.
I'm going to be honest with you. I think at this point, you can invite him to speak at your son's eight-year birthday party, and he'd be like, yeah, I think I can make it.
Officials, business leaders, technology leaders, civil society and NGO leaders, anywhere in the world for a genuine dialogue, and particularly, importantly, this year. Thankfully, this group is meeting under better economic circumstances than during the pandemic. But once again, we're forcing very serious.
For who, motherfucker? The first few months of the pandemic, we can still afford a home.
Different economic conditions around the world. One of the central challenges that is impacting me is how capitalism can benefit more, and how can we broaden our global economy for greater and greater participation. That is a question where the president has shown real leadership through investing in infrastructure, reducing barriers to growth, and initiatives like the Trump account designed to give more Americans a direct stake in the growth of the U.S. economy. As he enters the second year of his second term, we are interested in hearing his plans for 2026 and beyond, and will no doubt create more and more conversation. And that's what the forum is about, a serious conversation in the spirit of dialogue. Discussions where the world is headed, where are we going, and these discussions would be incomplete without the President of the United States, the most important.
Do you think the stock market's... I don't think the stock market had enough pull to scare him out of this idea, but I think it affected him. The reaction to the stock market and gold and silver shooting up when he threatens military force against Greenland.
Leader in the world.
I mean, Iceland.
We appreciate him here. So let me introduce and welcome back to Davos the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
Well, thank you very much, Larry.
Well, I mean, people with a lot of money, I don't think are fucking driven away by. I mean, he's helping everybody make money.
It's great to be back in beautiful Davos, Switzerland, and to address so many.
If I was a billionaire and could literally just extract myself from like empathy towards like people of a lower class, right? You can basically get yourself away from anything that's going to affect you. All you're worried about is your taxes. Can you invest your money somewhere? How's the stock market doing?
Respected business leaders, so many friends, a few enemies, and all of the distinguished guests. It's a who's who, I will say that. I've come to this year's World Economic Forum with truly phenomenal news from America. Yesterday marked the one-year anniversary of my inauguration, and today, after 12 months back in the White House, our economy is booming, growth is exploding, productivity is surging, investment is soaring, incomes are rising, inflation has been defeated, our previously open and dangerous border is closed and virtually impenetrable, and the United States is in the midst of the fastest and most dramatic economic turnaround in our country's history. Under the Biden administration, America was plagued by the nightmare of stagflation, meaning low growth, and high inflation, a recipe for misery, failure, and decline. But now, after just 1 year of my policies, we are witnessing the exact opposite.
I want to see how the clap changes depending on what he's talking about at the time, I guess.
Virtually no inflation and extraordinarily high economic growth like I believe you'll see very shortly our country has never seen before, perhaps no country has ever seen before. Over the past 3 months, core inflation has been just 1.6%. Meanwhile, fourth quarter growth is projected to be...
I would say most of these people are probably invested in American companies. Probably American companies that do favors for Trump and get preferential treatment.
5.4%, far greater than anybody other than myself and a few others had predicted. Since the election, the stock market has set 52 all-time high records. So that's in 1 year, 52 records.
That was just a thing that was happening even under Biden.
It's adding $9 trillion in value to retirement accounts and 401ks and people's savings. People are doing very well. They're very happy with me. Since my inauguration, we've lifted more than...
I think it's amazing to see how when the stock market's like shit, they're like, oh, look at these job numbers and look at what we did here and look at manufacturing tanked under Trump. And that was his thing, right? The fucking manufacturing numbers are horrific under Trump. The job sector numbers for manufacturing, that was his thing. Like, we're going to tariff everybody into oblivion until manufacturing comes back here. But then there's such a disconnect between the stock market. The stock market could be doing amazing, liquidating companies and laying fucking people off, and everybody else is suffering.
1.2 million people off of food stamps, and after 4 years in which Biden secured less than $1 trillion of new investment in our country. Think of that, $1 trillion, substantially less than that. In 4 years,
people in the comments saying, well, my 401k is doing better than it has in years, but they can't afford groceries. Is that really what you want?
Secured commitments for a record-breaking $18 trillion, and we think when the final numbers come out, they'll be closer to $20 trillion of investment. That's never been done by any country at any time, not even close. Just over 1 year ago, under the radical left Democrats,
the investment numbers are just made up. People just tell him things. Then he takes those numbers and inflates them. And the White House, whoever runs their webpage, gets the numbers and inflates them even more. And none of these are meaningful investments. Like, just because a country's like, yeah, we'll send you $1 trillion. Okay, we're just gonna put that on a website and start bragging about it, but there's no action behind that.
We were a dead country. Now we are the hottest country anywhere in the world. In fact, the United States economy is on pace to grow at double the rate that was projected by the IMF just last April. And with my growth and tariff policies, it should be much higher. I really believe it can be much higher than that. And this is all great news, and it's great for all nations. The USA is the economic engine on the planet, and when America booms, the entire world booms. It's been the history. When it goes bad, it goes bad. You all follow us down, and you follow us up, and we're at a point that I don't believe we've ever been. I never thought we could do it this quickly. My biggest surprise is I thought it would take more than a year, maybe like a year and 1 month. But it's happened very quickly. This afternoon, I want to discuss how we've achieved this economic miracle, how we intend to raise living standards for our citizens to levels never seen before, and perhaps how you too and the places where you come from can do much better by following what we're doing, because certain places in Europe are not even recognizable, frankly, anymore. They're not recognizable. And we can argue about it, but there's no argument. Friends come back from different places. I don't want to insult anybody and say I don't recognize it. And that's not in a positive way. That's in a very negative way. And I love Europe, and I want to see Europe go good, but it's not heading in the right direction. In recent decades, it became conventional wisdom in Washington and European capitals that the only way to grow a modern Western economy was through ever-increasing government spending, unchecked mass migration, and endless foreign imports. The consensus...
I know he goes in again about Chinese wind farms. Was someone tell him that they have more windmills than anybody else in the world?
Was the so-called dirty jobs and heavy industry.
They have more solar, they have more wind, they have more energy production than anybody else.
Elsewhere, that affordable energy should be replaced by the Green New Scam. and that countries could be propped up by importing new and entirely different populations from faraway lands. This was the path that sleepy Joe Biden administration and many other Western governments very foolishly followed, turning their backs on everything that makes nations rich and powerful and strong. And there's so much potential in so many nations. The result was record budget and trade deficits and a growing sovereign deficit driven by the largest wave of mass migration in human history. We've never seen anything like it. Quite frankly, many parts of our world are being destroyed before our very eyes, and the leaders don't even understand what's happening. And the ones that do understand aren't doing anything about it. Virtually all of the so-called experts predicted my plans to end this failed model would trigger a global recession and runaway inflation. But we have proven them wrong. It's actually just the opposite. In 1 year, our agenda has produced a transformation like America has not seen in over 100 years. Instead of closing down energy plants, we're opening them up. Instead of building ineffective, money-losing windmills, we're taking them down and not approving any. Instead of empowering bureaucrats, we're firing them, and they're going out and getting jobs in the private sector for 2 and 3 times what they were making in government. So they started off.
I just want Trump supporters to see the disconnect, right? Your energy's not getting cheap. Yes, gas is down. I'll give you that. While we're shutting down oil rigs, which is going to fuck us in a few years, but whatever. Whenever OPEC, so the reason gas is down is because OPEC is producing more oil, okay? That's not us. That's OPEC. When they produce more oil, and that's what makes gas cheaper, we can't compete with U.S. oil rigs on the same scale. So we start shutting down rigs and refineries here because we're buying oil from overseas. And maybe you say, I don't give a fuck. I just want gas to be cheap. Fine. But what happens is eventually OPEC is not going to be happy with their production. And when they lower their production, gas is going to go up to $5 a gallon like it did under the first Trump term. And it takes a year or two to get at least a year or two to get refineries and rigs back operating in the U.S. So the best thing to do, you might not like it, the best thing to do is to pay a little bit more for gas and keep our own ability to drill and refine oil in the U.S. and mitigate that with whatever OPEC is doing. If OPEC does more, well, then we got to do something and buy less OPEC oil and keep our guys here. But the price will be a little bit more expensive. It happens. But we don't have this surge of prices all the time. OPEC is, not doing 500,000 more barrels a day, whatever. And then our gas goes up to $5 a gallon, and it takes us a year and a half or 2 years or 3 years to catch up.
Off hating me when we fired them, and now they love me.
Trump promised that yesterday would be the day that your energy bill would be cut in half. 1 year after he took office, energy bill cut in half. Didn't happen. There's such a disconnect between Trump saying everything's lower, everything's better, everything's more affordable, and you still can't afford shit. It's not happening.
Instead of raising taxes on domestic producers, we're
He talks about groceries. Across the board, groceries are up 3%.
lowering them and raising tariffs on foreign nations to pay for the damage that they've caused. In 12 months, we have removed over 270,000 bureaucrats from the federal payrolls.
You'll see this. If oil gets down, it's weird now because everything's hyperinflated. It used to be down, like if oil gets down below like $40 a barrel, the U.S. can't compete at all. Now it's probably like $60, $70 a barrel, and we can't compete at all. Like we will just stop pulling it out of the ground. It's too expensive for us to get oil to the market at that price, so we just don't. And all of our oil, 90% of our oil comes from foreign sources.
The largest single-year reduction in government employment since the end of World War II. Nobody thought that was coming, but we had no choice to make a country great. You can't have all federal jobs. We've cut federal spending by $100 billion and slashed the federal budget deficit by 27% in the single year. It's going to go down quite a bit more from that, driving inflation way down from the record highs of the Biden administration. Every month, they went up and up and up. I promised to cut 10 old regulations for every single new regulation, but instead I've cut actually till this point 129 regulations for every one new regulation approved. So every time they come in with a new regulation, we do at least 10, but so far it's averaging out to 129, if you can believe it. In July, we passed the largest tax cuts in American history, including no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security for our great seniors. We also provided 100% expensing. That's the one they like. And bonus depreciation for all new equipment and capital investments to help companies expand and shift production to America. They are so in love with that. They build a plant, they're able to deduct.
Yeah, since Trump has basically taken office, right, we've been below the mark where we're like drilling like crazy and opening new rigs and refinery. We've been reducing capacity since Trump took office.
Immediately.
So when he says we're drilling more than ever, that's just a lie. You can go watch oil rigs. You can go look at the rig count number. They're going down.
Whole thing, rather than waiting 38 to 41 years in the old days. This is a miracle taking place. Nobody thought it would ever be done by any country, but it's done by us. It was what made my first term the most successful 4-year term that we've ever had from a financial standpoint. And now we've upped it. This is a 10-year program, not a 1-year program, but you're allowed to deduct everything in 1 year. It used to be 38 to 41 years. With tariffs, we've radically reduced our ballooning.
Including, you guys will like this, your $1 million plus yacht you can deduct now as a business expense. So I know that'll affect a lot of you guys.
Deficit, which was the largest in world history. We were losing more than $1 trillion every single year, and it was just wasted. It was going to waste. But in 1 year, I slashed our monthly trade deficit by a staggering 77%, and all of this with no inflation.
Trade deficit doesn't matter. Don't listen to trade deficit numbers and think it did anything for you. This is like going to Walmart and saying, hey, I buy $1,000 worth of groceries a month from Walmart. You need to buy $1,000 of shit from me. It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter at all.
Something everyone said could not be done. There were a couple of brilliant people that actually thought I was doing the right thing. I thought I was doing the right thing. Now they all think I'm doing the right thing because they can't believe the numbers. American exports are now up by more than $150 billion. Domestic steel production is up by 300,000 tons a month, and it's doubling over the next 4 months. It's doubling and tripling, and we have steel plants being built all over the country. Nobody thought this.
Well, it can't be doubling and tripling. That doesn't make any sense.
Factory construction is up by 41%, and that number is really going to skyrocket right now because that's during a process that they're putting in to get their approvals, and we've given very, very quick, fast approvals. In the process, we've made historic trade deals with partners covering 40% of all U.S. trade. Some of the greatest companies and countries in the world. We have countries as our partner, too. The European nations, Japan, South Korea, they're our partners. They've gone into massive deals with us, especially on oil and gas. And these agreements raise growth and cause stock markets to boom, not only in the U.S., but virtually every country that came to make a deal because, as you've learned, when the United States goes up, you follow.
Even what's crazy is like he'll say, oh, we got a $10 trillion deal from who gives a fuckistan, right? And that country will come out and be like, no, that's not what we said. We said we'd look at investing here and maybe do this and maybe do that. And then when it gets to the website, it's $100 trillion. Like it gets lied about again.
It's really become a staple. In America, I've stopped the nation-wrecking energy policies that drive up prices while sending jobs and factories to the world's worst polluters. They are indeed polluters under sleepy Joe Biden.
Sometimes it's his investment is that he claims they're sending to us is greater than the country's GDP. No country is fixing us to send 10 times their GDP as an investment. What the fuck are you talking about?
New domestic oil and gas leases fell by 95%. Think of that. And they wonder, why was gasoline going up so fast? The gasoline actually topped $5 a gallon, in some places $7 a gallon, in more than 100 major.
Well, that was part of your shitty deal, right? Remember when you told OPEC to increase their output and that you were going to sanction Iranian oil and wouldn't buy it. Then you went behind their back, didn't do the sanctions, pulled the sanctions off Iranian oil, right? And then OPEC was pissed. So they cut production more than they've ever cut production. That was all on you.
Major power plants were violently shut down by incompetent people that had no idea what the hell they were doing. Under my leadership, U.S. natural gas production is at an all-time.
There's a couple plants across the nation that they're forcing to stay open, even past their retirement dates. So one of them I was reading about in Colorado, they're forcing this. Okay, listen. We have power plant A, which is an old style power plant that is not very good at producing power, right? It costs a lot of money to produce power with it. It's not very efficient. Power plant B already came online to replace it. Okay? Power plant B it's more efficient, it's cheaper to run, and it already does all the power that area needs. So there's literally no reason for power plant A. I think this example's in Colorado, but there's multiple around the nation. The Trump administration is forcing power plant A to stay online. Even though they're not needed to produce any power at all whatsoever in any way, shape, or form. In fact, power plant B is not even at full capacity. They're like 70-some% capacity. Okay? So they still have 30% that they're not even using at power plant B. He's forcing power plant A to stay online past its shutdown date, not making any money. So who pays for power plant A to stay online? You do. You do. In your power bill that's going up, you are paying to subsidize this plant to stay, not the federal government, this plant to stay open that's not needed, that the owners want to shut down, that the board of directors voted to shut down because they already replaced it. that is not even producing power. It's just sitting there with employees there every fucking day, offline. And the Trump administration will not let them close the doors. And the people paying their power bills are paying to keep this open.
High by far. U.S. oil production is up by 730,000 barrels a day. And last week we picked up 50 million barrels.
Power plants I used to work in. I know about power plants, okay? They have a lifespan. And sometimes that gets strained. Let's say they have a 50-year lifespan and they're on like year 80, right? But there's always a plan to replace them. It might get delayed. It might get set back because the funding wasn't there, or the stock market, or, a depression, recession, whatever. But that power plant, there's no need for it to be open at all. It's producing zero to the grid, and they don't expect to produce anything to the grid. They literally just run tests every month and then shut back down. That's it.
From Venezuela alone. Venezuela has been an amazing place for so many years, but then they went bad with their policies. 20 years ago, it was a great country, and now it's got problems, but we're helping them. And those 50 million barrels, we're going to be splitting up with them, and they'll be making more money than they've made in a long time. Venezuela's going to do fantastically well. We appreciate all of the cooperation we've been giving. We've been giving great cooperation. Once the attack ended, and they said, let's make a deal. More people should do that. But Venezuela's going to make more money in the next 6 months than they've made in the last 20 years. Every major oil company is coming in with us. It's amazing. It's a beautiful thing to see. The leadership of the country has been very good. They've been very, very smart. The price of gasoline is now below $2.50 a gallon in many states, $2.30 a gallon in most states, and we'll soon be averaging less than $2 a gallon. In many places, it's already down even lower, $1.95 a gallon. Numerous states are at $1.99, numbers that nobody has heard for years. Actually, since my last administration, we got it down to around those numbers. I've signed an order directing and approval of many new nuclear reactors.
Here it is. Here's what it says. Listen. I just found the news story. Fort Collins. The Trump administration has told another coal-fired, this may be a different one, but this is one of them, another coal-fired power facility to remain open, this time ordering the owners of a Colorado electricity generating unit to keep it running beyond its Wednesday retirement date. Compliance will cost Tri-State Generational and Transmission Association and the other owners of the Craig Station power plant in northwestern Colorado. The plant owners will need to fix a broken valve that put the power plant's 446 megawatt Unit 1 out of operation on December 19th, Tri-State said in a statement. The order from Energy Secretary Chris Wright follows recent Department of Energy moves to keep coal-fired power stations open in Indiana, Washington State, and Michigan, despite efforts by their owners to close them. It's part of Donald Trump's planned push to revive U.S. coal industry at a time when many utilities are shifting to cheaper, less polluting energy sources such as LNG, natural gas, and renewables. The administration, meanwhile, has blocked renewable energy, including wind power. The 45-year-old generator in Colorado, one of 3 at Craig Station, has been scheduled to close at the end of 2025. As a not-for-profit cooperative, our membership, which is everybody that gets power from there, okay? Our membership will bear the cost of compliance with this order unless we can identify a method to share costs with those in the region. Tri-State CEO Dwayne Holly said in a statement, "You're paying to keep a plant open that no one fucking needs." This has been it's not like protesters showed up and said, shut it down. It's not like fucking left-wing activists fucking shut it down or like secret fucking environmental terrorists. This is a planned shutdown from 10 years ago. Because it's not profitable when they have more profitable plants that do the exact same thing better. It's insane.
Going heavy into nuclear. I was not a big fan because I didn't like the risk, the danger, but they have the progress they've made with nuclear is unbelievable, and the safety progress they've made is incredible. And we're very much into the world of nuclear energy, and we can have it now at good prices and very, very safe. And we're leading the world in AI by a lot. We're leading China by a lot. I think President Xi respects what we've done, in part because I've allowed these big companies building these massive buildings to build their own electric capacity. They're building their own.
When the AI bubble pops, if that's what's happening, a lot of people say it's going to, they're just putting way. Like they're putting $20 billion in, and they're getting like fucking $1 billion out right now. So unless it does something crazy, if it does pop like people are predicting, I can't wait for Trump to be blaming all the AI people.
Power plants, which when added up is more than any country anywhere in the world is doing. I read recently an article in the Wall Street Journal that China's creating so much energy, and they are. I got to hand it to them. But we're creating as much or more, and we're letting them do that. I'm very proud of it. It was my idea. I said, you can't create this much energy. We needed more than double the energy currently in the country just to take care of the AI plants. And I said, we can't do that. We have an old grid system. And I came up with the idea, you people are brilliant. You have a lot of money. Let's see what you can do. You can build your own electric generating plants. And they looked at me. They didn't believe me. All of the names that are, I think, in the room right now, if you want to know the truth, they didn't believe it.
Yeah, when he flips a switch and he's like, they lied to me about AI. They couldn't do it. I told them to do it. They couldn't do it. I just can't wait.
I said, no, you can't. They came back 2 weeks and they didn't have the plant. They said, we thought you were kidding. I said, no, not only am I not kidding, you're going to have your approvals within 2 weeks. I always say nuclear will take 3 weeks. But most aren't going that. They're going oil and gas. They're even going coal in some cases.
I'm all for nuclear power. 100%. I think it's the way to solve our issues with power, right? And dumping a ton of money into infrastructure, hardening it and making it more reliable and updating it and all that shit. I don't think we should expedite approval. All that tells me is we're not checking everything. And it's going to affect citizens around these power plants.
Because of my landslide election victory, the United States avoided the catastrophic energy collapse which befell every European nation that pursued the Green New Scam, perhaps the greatest hoax in history. The Green New Scam, windmills all over the place, destroy your land. Destroy your land. Every time that goes around, you lose $1,000. You're supposed to make money with energy, not lose money. Here in Europe, we've seen the fate that the radical left tried to impose on America. They tried very hard. Germany now generates 22% less electricity than it did in 2017, and it's not the current chancellor's fault. He's solving the problem. He's going to do a great job. But what they did before he got there, I guess that's why he got there. And electricity prices are 64% higher. The United Kingdom produces just 1/3 of the total energy from all sources that it did in 1999. Think of that, 1/3. And they're sitting on top of the North Sea, one of the greatest reserves anywhere in the world, but they don't use it. And that's one reason why their energy has reached catastrophically low levels with equally high prices. High prices, very low levels. Think of that, 1/3. And you're sitting on top of the North Sea. And they like to say, well, that's depleted. It's not depleted. It's got 500 years. They haven't even found the oil. The North Sea is incredible. They don't let anybody drill. Environmentally, they don't let them drill. They make it impossible for the oil companies to go. They take 92% of the revenues. So the oil companies say, we can't do it. They came to see me. Is there anything you can do? I want Europe to do great. I want UK to do great. They're sitting on one of the greatest energy sources in the world, and they don't use it. In fact, their electricity prices have soared 139%. There are windmills all over Europe. There are windmills all over the place, and they are losers. One thing I've noticed is that the more windmills a country has, the more money that country loses, and the worse.
This just isn't true. China, who he's gonna say has no windmills, has more windmills and more solar than any other nation in the world currently.
That country is doing. China makes almost all of the windmills, and yet I haven't been able to find any wind farms in China. Did you ever think of that? It's a good way of looking at it. They're smart. China's very smart. They make them. They sell them for a fortune. They sell them to the stupid people that buy them, but they don't use them themselves. They put up a couple of big wind farms, but they don't use them. They just put them up to show people what they could look like. They don't spin. They don't do anything. They use a thing called coal mostly. But China goes with the coal. They go with oil and gas. They're starting to look at nuclear a little bit, and they're doing just fine. They make a fortune selling the windmills, though, and I think really that's one that they wouldn't be surprised if it stopped. They are shocked that it continues to go. They're very friendly with me. They're shocked that people continue to buy those damn things. They killed the birds. They ruin your landscapes. Other than that, I think they're fabulous, by the way. Stupid people buy them. The consequences of such destructive policies have been stark, including lower economic growth, lower standards of living, lower birth rates, more socially disruptive migration, more vulnerability to hostile foreign adversaries, and much, much smaller militaries. The United States cares greatly about the people of Europe. We really do. I mean, look, I am derived from Europe. Scotland and Germany, 100%. Scotland, my mother, 100% German, my father. And we believe deeply in the bonds we share with Europe as a civilization. I want to see it do great. That's why issues like energy, trade, immigration, and economic growth must be central concerns to anyone who wants to see a strong and united West, because Europe and those countries have to do their thing. They have to get out of the culture that they've created over the last 10 years. It's horrible what they're doing to themselves. They're destroying themselves.
Yeah, we end up, there's not as much waste as people think, but we end up burying it in granite deposits. There's a really cool problem around nuclear waste. And it is how to identify nuclear waste over potentially thousands of years. And one of the ideas around that is starting a religion. I know this sounds really weird, but basically, right? How do we identify nuclear waste? Is we write nuclear waste on it. We use symbols. We do different things. If that nuclear waste, if its half-life is like fucking thousands of years, how can we ensure that people know that it's nuclear waste 5,000 years from now? Well, there's not really a way. What if there's a different language? What if there's different people? What if there's a mass kill-off and a resuscitation? And what if the world looks completely different? And one of the ideas around that is starting a religion where priests hold this type of God-given knowledge, because religions are really good at passing on traditions. I'm not making any of this up. This is a real problem that scientists have fucking been thinking about. And so when you get nuclear waste, I think the thing, I would say to power everything in your life, or maybe it's a family, maybe it's a typically family's home, of nuclear waste at the end of the year for a whole year would be about a brick, about the size of a brick. And then only about 5 grams of that is highly reactive material, high level nuclear waste, which is about the weight of a sheet of paper. And that's after it goes to the vitrification or whatever the fuck it is to condense it in the settling ponds and all that shit. And then they take that and they bury it in granite or salt deposits. They do the same thing in Finland. There's like a world leading example of a nuclear storage pit in Finland that seems to be doing it really well. But the religion is really interesting to me.
It's beautiful, beautiful places. We want strong allies, not seriously weakened ones. We want Europe to be strong. Ultimately, these are matters of national security, and perhaps no current issue makes the situation more clear than what's currently going on with Greenland.
So you have 3 different levels. I think they break it down in 3 levels. When I worked at a nuclear power plant, they told us about 3 different levels. So you have low-level waste, which is like clothes that I wore into when we were refueling them, right? We change out the fuel rods. Clothes I wore, paper from the plant, blah, 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 stuff like that, right? We can deal with that. You have intermediate level waste, which would be like steel that was in there that could have absorbed radiation. It would be filters, tools that were in there for like reactors, some effluents, which is just liquid that flowed through, shit like that, right? And then you have high level waste, and the high level waste is only about 3% of what comes out of it, 3% of the total. But when you're talking about like coal fire plants producing 300,000 tons of ash, and it's just raining back down, right? Like, I think nuclear is a really good option. As long as it's done safely, as long as it's storage, we have oversight. We're not rushing to approve nuclear power plants in 3 weeks, shit like that. I think it's a really good option when done well.
Would you like me to say a few words?
And it's only the fuel part, right? Like, they're only using nuclear the same way you use coal, the same way you use LNG. We're using it to heat water to make steam, and the steam makes power.
I was going to leave it out of the speech, but I think I would have been reviewed very negatively. I have tremendous respect for what's
He calls himself a dictator here in a minute.
going on with Greenland. Would you like me to say a few words of Greenland? I was going to leave it out of the speech, but I think I would have been reviewed very negatively. I have tremendous respect for both the people of Greenland and the people
All right, just start talking about Greenland. Let's see how many Icelands we get.
of Denmark. Tremendous respect. But every NATO ally has an obligation to be able to defend their own territory. And the fact is, no nation or group of nations is in any position to be able to secure Greenland other than the United
By the way, he was going to leave this out of the speech, but he's reading directly off a teleprompter. He was not going to leave this out of the speech.
States. We're a great power, much greater than people even understand. I think they found that out 2 weeks ago in Venezuela. We saw this in World War II, when Denmark fell to Germany after just 6 hours of fighting and was totally unable to defend either itself or Greenland. So the United States was then compelled, we did it, we felt an obligation to do it, to send our own forces to hold the Greenland territory. And hold it we did, at great cost and expense. They didn't have a chance of getting on it, and they tried. Denmark knows that. We literally set up bases on Greenland for Denmark. We fought for Denmark. We weren't fighting for anyone else. We were fighting to save it for Denmark. Big, beautiful piece of ice. It's hard to call it land. It's a big piece of ice. But we saved Greenland and successfully prevented our enemies from gaining a foothold in our hemisphere. So we did it for ourselves also. And then after the war, which we won it big. Without us, right now you'd all be speaking German and a little Japanese, perhaps. After the war, we gave Greenland back to Denmark. How stupid were we to do that? But we did it. But we gave it back. But how ungrateful are they now? So now our country...
This is kind of misleading. We did help defend Denmark, help to shore up its defenses, right? And then after the United Nations Charter, basically Denmark incorporated Greenland through that. Constitutional amendment gave it representation in the Danish parliament, and it was the way it's always been.
And the world face much greater risks than it did ever before because of missiles, because of nuclear, because of weapons of warfare that I can't even talk about. 2 weeks ago, they saw weapons that nobody ever heard of. They weren't able to fire one shot at us. They said, what happened? Everything was discombobulated. They said, we've got them in our sights. Press the trigger, and nothing happened. No anti-aircraft missiles went up. There was one that went up about 30 feet and crashed down right next to the people that sent it. They said, what the hell is
There was a bunch of things that happened for Chernobyl disaster, mostly around safety measures that were just completely ignored. Stuff that was out of service, stuff they were never supposed to do, stuff they knew better to do, and a flawed design on top of that. So even if we would have had, it was a poor design, even though they weren't following the safety, and there were several chances to stop it that they ignored, there was also a flawed design with the reactor.
going on? Those defensive systems were made by Russia and by China. So they're going to go back to the drawing boards, I guess. Greenland is a vast, almost entirely uninhabited and undeveloped territory, sitting undefended in a key strategic location between the United States, Russia, and China. That's exactly where it is, right smack in the middle. It wasn't important nearly when we gave it back. When we gave it back, it wasn't the same as it is now. It's not important for any other reason, everyone talks about the minerals. There's so many places. There's no rare earth. No such thing as rare earth. There's rare processing, but there's so much rare earth. And just to get to this rare earth, you got to go through hundreds of feet of ice. That's not the reason we need it. We need it for strategic national security and international security. This enormous unsecured island is actually part of North America, on the northern frontier of the Western Hemisphere. That's our territory. It is therefore a core national security interest of the United States of America. And in fact, it's been our policy for hundreds of years to prevent outside threats from entering our hemisphere, and we've done it very successfully. We've never been stronger than we are now. That's why American presidents have sought to purchase Greenland for nearly 2 centuries. For 2 centuries, they've been trying to do it. They should have kept it after World War II, but they had a different president. That's all right. People think differently. Much more necessary now than it was at that time, however. In 2019, Denmark said that they would spend over $200 million to strengthen Greenland's defenses. But as you know, they spent less than 1% of that amount. 1%, there's no sign of Denmark there. And I say that with great respect for Denmark, whose people I love, whose leaders are very good. It's the United States alone that can protect this giant mass of land, this giant piece of ice, develop it and improve it, and make it so that it's good for Europe and safe for Europe and good for us. And that's the reason I'm seeking immediate negotiations to once again discuss the acquisition of Greenland by the United States, just as we have acquired many other territories throughout our history, as many of the European nations have. They've acquired. There's nothing wrong with it. Many of them, some went in reverse, actually. If you look, some had great vast wealth, great vast lands all over the world. They went in reverse. They stuck back where they started. That happens too. But some grow. But this would not be a threat to NATO. This would greatly enhance the security of the entire alliance, the NATO alliance. The United States is treated very unfairly by NATO. I'm going to tell you that.
I have so this is, I know we keep jumping back and forth. This is a good explanation I found one time. Somebody laid out all this stuff at Chernobyl. It says the reactor and its turbines were meant to undergo a test to find out whether the spinning steam turbines and generators could produce enough electricity while coasting to a stop to run the reactor cooling pumps while the diesel generators were brought online. This test, far from routine, was derived because if, for example, the West were to attack Russia and they attacked the electrical grids and plant was disconnected, the reactor would need to be E-stopped, emergency stopped, like right now. Decay heat would still need to be dealt with. This test was supposed to have been done during Unit 4's commissioning in '83. The paperwork was pencil whipped then, extremely common in the USSR, because of ahead-of-time construction delivery resulted in bonus for many many people. Turns out the communists were pretty corner-cutty. The reactor design itself is loaded with faults. The USSR used cheaper-to-build reactor design than literally the whole rest of the world at the time. It lacked heavy steel and concrete containment building. It used steam. This was a big deal. So it used water. So on most nuclear reactor designs, there's a heat exchanger, right? There's one side that's contaminated. There's another side that's clean. The clean is what goes to the generator and all that shit, the piping, everything in the plant. They just did it without a heat exchanger. So the same water that interacted with nuclear material also ran through their turbine, everything, okay? So there was no heat exchanger separating radiated steam and water, causing radioactive water to flow through the plant. It used hollow graphite blocks as a moderator to maintain the nuclear chain reaction. U.S. and Western European reactors use pressurized water, so no water, no nuclear reaction. The boron control rods, this is a big deal too. So use boron control rods to temper the reaction, okay? They shove them in, it slows the reaction, they pull them out, the reaction goes more, right? It's just fucking electrons bouncing around. Anyways, their boron control rods, for some reason, I guess because it was cheaper, were graphite tips. They had graphite tips on them, probably for some type of lubrication reason. Graphite increases the radioactivity. The boron rods are meant to slow radioactivity in the core, okay? Theirs had a graphite tip on them. That graphite, when it's just barely inserted, when it's just a graphite there, increases radioactivity and makes the thing react faster. That's a big deal in a second. Were graphite tipped. And about 57 other glaring flaws, like safety systems that couldn't be overridden. The test was scheduled for April 25th. It didn't happen on day shift because Kiev's electrical grid controller asked for it to be done later in the evening, night shift, after peak demand hours. It didn't happen on the evening shift either for unclear reasons. So when the night shift started at midnight on the 26th, the dude from Moscow, who had been there all day and was to oversee the test, was antsy. The night shift guys were the youngest and least experienced. The reactor operator was 26 years old, and they'd just been handed a procedure binder loaded with annotations and crossed out procedures. Note, xenon poisoning occurs when reducing capacity in nuclear reactors. Xenon is a fission byproduct that actually absorbs the zooming around neutrons, preventing them from slamming into another uranium-235 atom, splitting it, and setting off even more neutrons free to go slam into other atoms. During stable operation, xenon is burned off at a rate that allows the chain reaction to continue. If control rods are inserted and the reaction is slowed, there's an excess of xenon, and it has a control rod-like effect, further reducing output. The nuclear chain reaction will nearly stop because of an excess neutron absorbing shit in the reactor, overcoming the nuclear chain reaction itself. The reactor should need to sit for 48 hours before attempts to restart the reaction, giving the xenon a chance to naturally decay. So it won't maintain if there's a buildup of xenon. So with that fully excited, let's continue. The reactor had a thermal output rating of 1,500 megawatts, or that's 1.5 gigawatts. The test was to be conducted at 1,500, but must not go below 700 megawatts, or reactor instability could occur. The reactor had been running at full capacity, but the decision was made to slightly reduce the capacity before starting this test. To begin, manual control was taken and the control rods were partially inserted into the core, reducing reactor output. The operator switched the control rods back to automatic control, thinking the computer would hold the rods at their current location. They did not. The automatic system saw the sudden output reduction as a power failure and began plunging the control rods to their fully inserted position, nearly shutting the reactor down. The emergency core cooling system tried to start. It was manually overridden and turned off. The reactor output dropped between 0 and 30 megawatts. Remember, we weren't supposed to go below 700 megawatts. It dropped between 0 and 30 megawatts, depending on which report is read. The previously inserted rods were then retracted. Reactor output didn't increase. Serious xenon poisoning had occurred, further slowing the nuclear reaction. The operator was ordered to bring the reactor back up to power. He refused. It went against his written procedure. Poor guy tried to do his job right and was blamed for the whole thing. Cranky Moscow overseer yelled and made the 27-year-old shift chief bring the reactor back up. He did. Being so young and being a nuclear plant operator or chief was pretty much a dream job in Soviet Ukraine. To argue with a senior official could cost you everything, including your life. About half the control rods were now fully retracted, but reactor output was now only at 200 megawatts, too low to test. The coolant pumps were sped up and additional pumps brought online to try to counteract the xenon poisoning. This increased water volume, decreased steam volume, and slowed the turbine as a result. Additional control rods were retracted to try to bring the steam output up to speed the turbine back up. The equivalent of only 8 fully inserted rods remained in the core. 15 was the minimum. 15 is how many they always had to have in there. There's only 8 in there now. The reactor had over 211 control rods total. Hotspots began to develop in the core, but instrumentation wasn't present in the interior of the core. The operator noticed the computer was demanding the reactor be shut down. Every safety system had been bypassed at this point. Power output was still too low. So what they're not seeing is basically they keep seeing whoever's overseeing this test keeps seeing too low, too low, too low, too low. They're trying to bring it up, but the reactor's fighting itself. But what's going to happen is a slingshot effect. Overseer from Moscow insisted they continue. Output finally increased enough for the turbine was disconnected and began to coast down the coast down test that they were trying to do the whole time. Once the turbine was disconnected, the condenser couldn't keep up with the raw steam and ended up raw steam entered the condensate. Steam turned back into water, and the return pops, and it caused cavitation in all the pumps. The steam in the pumps intermittently stopped pumping water into the core. As the pockets of steam collapsed inside the pipes, loud banging sounds could be heard in the turbine hall near the reactor. The already unstable core began violently producing pockets of steam. Output began surging. 4 of the 8 pumps are still running on the decelerating turbine and began slowing. Even less water was available. So the cooling pumps are just getting pockets of air, and cavitation is when you get air in a pump, right? They don't work right. The core temperature and pressure gauges were pegged out. The steam condenser should have kept up and cooled the steam back to water, but it was overworked. Pockets of steam continued to enter the pumps. The reactor was idiotically kept online to repeat the turbine test if necessary. So they had a chance to shut down the reactor now, and they're like, no, we might fail this test, and we'll need it again, and it's a long process to start it back up. You're supposed to shut down for 48 hours. Keep it online. The core suddenly surged way past its maximum output. Between the noise and power surges, operators decided to scram the reactor. So scram is, let me see if I remember the acronym. Safety Control Rod Axeman, I think is what it's called. And what you do is you just fucking throw all the control rods into it. This is never supposed to be done. This is like, hey, we fucked up. Let's shut this motherfucker down immediately. Damage to the core, potentially. Fuck up a bunch of shit. But they decided, scram it. All the control rods to the fully inserted position to stop the reactor. The graphite-tipped control rods began descending. Soviet nukes used control servo motors that were notorious slow. It took them 18 seconds to fully insert the control rods from start to finish. And that graphite tip on the very end is making the reaction go crazy until it's fully inserted. The graphite increases nuclear reaction. Tip rods acted like Vin Diesel hitting the NOS button at the Fast and Furious movie. The reactor went bonkers. The sudden increase in output fractured the core, and the rods became stuck, only partially inserted. So when the core fractured, now the rods are only halfway in, and they're jammed. We can't fully insert them. We can't retract them. We can't do anything with them. They're partially of the way in. Now, remember, we're never supposed to go below 15 rods. We've only got 8 in there. There's hot spots fucking everywhere. The core fractured, and now the rods that we wanted to put back in to shut everything down are stuck. We can't move them anymore. There was now nothing that could be used to slow this reaction. Now it's a runaway reaction. There's nothing. They've got no way to control it anymore. Reactor output soared well beyond what instrumentation could even measure. They didn't even know what the reactor was doing now. Everything just pegged out. Pressure built up so high, it blew the 450-ton lid off the reactor. Just blew it off. Air and steam rushed into the core, reacted with the zirconium jacket around each uranium fuel rod, created a ton of hydrogen, then blew the whole roof off the building in a secondary explosion, spewing tons of radioactive material into the atmosphere. It took a while for what had happened to sink in. Though the explosion was from they thought the explosion was from a separator drum. They continued trying to operate and cool the core, pumping tons and tons and tons of water into it, all of which blew into the sky as radioactive steam. So again, no heat exchanger. Everything they pump in there was just fucking hitting radioactive material and being blown in the sky. The Soviet government blamed the shit out of the operators. There was no way they could have or would have admit that the almighty RBMK-1000 reactors were gravely flawed. They couldn't afford to shut the entire nuclear fleet down because of the shitty design. They lied. They knew the reactors were seriously flawed, but they built them anyways. They just decided to build controls to deal with the shortcomings. Then that made them bypassable. So there you go. That's what happened. There was a bad design. It was a test that shouldn't have been done. It was done on night shift with inexperienced people. Everything. It's stacked tolerances, right? If you took, let's say there's 100 things. If you took 5 of them out of there, 100 things that went wrong. If you took 5 of them out of there, they may have saved the plant. But every little bit stacks on the next piece, on the next piece, on the next piece, on the next piece. Even the guy having to sit there all day and being agitated and wanting to get the test over with so he could go back to Moscow. Like that's shit that builds up, right? He probably pushed through when he should have waited. But
when you think about it, nobody can dispute it. We give so much and we get so little in return. And I've been a critic of NATO for many years. And yet I've done more to help NATO than any other president by far, than any other person. You wouldn't have NATO if I didn't get involved in my first term. The war with Ukraine is an example. We are thousands of miles away.
You wouldn't have NATO if Trump didn't save it in his first term. Sure.
Separated by a giant ocean. It's a war that should have never started, and it wouldn't have started if the 2020 U.S. presidential election weren't rigged. It was a rigged election. Everybody knows that. They found out.
They found out. Who found out? Where's the what? It's just your people repeating it over and over again.
Prosecuted for what they did. It's probably breaking news, but it should be. It was a rigged election. You can't have rigged elections. You need strong borders, strong elections, and ideally a good press. I always say it. Strong borders, strong elections, free, fair elections, and a fair media. The media is terrible. It's very crooked. It's very...
While his crony, Elon Musk, was offering $1 million to anybody in swing states who voted for Trump. Free, fair elections. You know what I mean?
Bias, terrible. But someday it'll straighten out because it's losing all credibility. Think of it. When I went in a landslide, a giant landslide, won all 7 swing states, won the popular vote, won everything, and I only get negative press. That means it has no credibility. And if they're going to get credibility, they're going to have to be fair. So you need a fair press. But you also need those other elements. And I inherited a terrible, terrible situation. If you look, the border was open, the inflation was raging, everything was bad with the United States when I came into office. But I also inherited a mess with Ukraine and Russia, something that would have never happened. And I know Putin very well. He and I would discuss Ukraine.
By the way, today, a memo was leaked. Do you guys know the difference between a judicial and an administrative warrant? ICE leaked a memo today that was shared with a congressperson, I think, and then that made it to the media or whatever. A judicial warrant is issued by a judge. It's in the name, right? A judge has seen something, has been presented evidence, and it's a judicial warrant. It's signed by a judge. So when you see ICE activists saying, don't open the door unless they got a warrant signed by a judge, it has to be longstanding. As long as anybody has had this issue, it's always had to be a judicial warrant to enter a home and to do other things, certain other things, right? An administrative warrant is a warrant that an agency issues itself, okay? So you call up your boss. Let's say you work for DHS. You call up your boss and say, hey, we need a warrant for so-and-so. He signs it, says, yeah, sounds good to me, and sends it out the door, right? 8 administrative warrants are typically used for like ICE removal warrants, right? We've revoked your green card, blah, 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 whatever. Removal warrant. This is what you got. Never, ever, ever, ever has this been used, an administrative warrant for entry into your home or to search you. Administrative warrants are usually for arrests or seizures, but you got to see a judge afterwards, but they're never used for search and seizures or to enter your home. The ICE memo leaked out today that they believe that they have the legal backing for administrative warrants, which is just your boss sent you a warrant to enter people's homes now. This has got to go to the Supreme Court, right? We still have fucking Fourth Amendment protections. This has to go to the Supreme Court. There's no fucking way. There's no way that they can use a fucking administrative warrant to fucking go into your home. There's no goddamn way. And there's no precedent for it. They're just claiming, hey, yeah, we think the law's on our side. You can do it.
It was the apple of his eye, but he wasn't going to do anything. I said, Vladimir, you're not doing it. He would never have done it. It was terrible what happened. I could see it happening, too. After I left, I could see it happening. Biden had given Ukraine and NATO $350 billion, a staggering sum, $350 billion. I came in, and just like the southern border, just like inflation, just like our economy, I said, wow, this place is in trouble, meaning our country. All of these things were out of control. But the border was out of control. We fixed it with the strongest border anywhere in the world. And I've now been working on this war for 1 year, during which time I settled 8 other wars. India, Pakistan. I settled other wars that were Vladimir Putin.
Not even India and Pakistan agree you settled their war. Like,
called me, Armenia, Azerbaijan.
The war you promised to end, right? Ukraine and Russia, you didn't end it, but you ended 8 other ones that just happened to be going on.
He said, I can't believe you settled that one. They were going on for 35 years. I settled it in one day. Then President Putin called me. He said, I can't believe I worked on that war for 10 years trying to settle it. I couldn't do it. I said, do me a favor, focus on settling your war. Don't worry about that one. What does the United States get out of all of this work, all of this money, other than death, destruction, and massive amounts of cash going to people who don't appreciate what we do? They don't appreciate what we do. I'm talking about NATO, I'm talking about Europe. They have to work on Ukraine. We don't. The United States is very far away. We have a big, beautiful ocean separating us. We have nothing to do with it. Until I came along, NATO was only supposed.
We made a lot of promises to Europe, especially around building up their military. We made promises like, hey, we're going to control the world's oceans. So don't worry about that, right? We're not saying you can't have Navy vessels, but we'll be controlling the world's oceans. We'll do it all. We'll always be here for your aid. Don't worry about this. Don't worry about that. We're in an alliance. We'll always be an alliance. And now to be like they're ungrateful. Get the fuck out of here.
To pay 2% of GDP, but they weren't paying. Most of the countries weren't paying anything. The United States was paying for virtually 100% of NATO. And I got that stopped. I said, that's not fair. But then more importantly, I got NATO to pay 5%, and now they were paying, and now they are paying. So something nobody said was possible. They said, we will never go up higher than 2%. But they went to 5%, and now they're paying the 5. They didn't pay the 2, and now they're paying the 5. And they're stronger for it, and they have an excellent, by the way, Secretary General, who's possibly in the room. Mark, are you here?
By the way, when he says we never benefited from it, that's also a lie. Literally, the only time the Article 5 has been enacted is when they came to us to patrol our skies after 9/11.
Yes, he's here. Hello, Mark. We never asked for anything, and we never
refused to deal with him. Yeah, I've thought about that before. I hate seeing them fucking bend the knee. They know that's the only way to work with him, right? Is you have to basically kiss his ass. Even if you're doing something completely against what he wants, you can kiss his ass enough to get around it, but I fucking hate watching it.
Anything. We probably won't get anything unless I decide to use excessive strength and force, where we would be, frankly, unstoppable. But I won't do that. Okay? Now everyone's saying, oh, good. That's probably the biggest statement I made, because people thought I would use force. I don't have to use force. I don't want to use force. I won't use force. All the United States is asking for is a place called Greenland, where we already had it.
Another administrative leak is that they're planning, well, I'm trying to remember. They're planning on offering $700 billion to Denmark for Greenland and potentially giving up to $100,000 apiece to every resident of Greenland, which brings it out to like $706 or $707 billion.
As a trustee, but respectfully returned it back to Denmark not long ago after we defeated the Germans, the Japanese, the Italians, and others in World War II. We gave it back to them. We were a powerful force then, but we are a much more powerful force now. After I rebuilt the military in my first term and continue to do so today, we have a budget of $1.5 trillion. We're bringing back battleships. The battleship is 100 times more powerful than the great battleships you saw in World War II, those great, big, gorgeous ships, the Missouri, the Iowa, the Alabama. Because I thought maybe we could take them out of mothballs. They said, no, sir, these ships are 100, think of that, 100 times more powerful than those big, magnificent pieces of art that you saw so many times ago that you still see on television. You say, wow, what a force. 100 times, each ship 100 times more powerful than the big battleships of the past.
This is just, this is just made up shit, right? Like our current fucking F-35 is 1,000,000 times more powerful than the Wright brothers' fucking paper-winged bicycle.
So that was the end of the mothball story. So what we have gotten out of NATO is nothing except to protect Europe from the Soviet Union and now Russia. I mean, we've helped them for so many years. We've never gotten anything.
This cannot be understated, okay? The biggest benefit of NATO is the consolidation of things. NATO ammo and NATO rations and NATO fuel cans and NATO fucking everything. Right? You see how hard it is for the fucking Russians to even supply their own troops? We have everything is the NATO standard. So when we go to war and anybody wants to come with us, even the fucking language we use on the radio is NATO. That's a huge, huge, huge thing when you're talking about logistics, trying to run a war. The ammo works, and the food rations work, and the fuel's right, and this is right, and we can talk to each other on the radio, and everything is uniform with our allies.
Except we pay for NATO. And we paid for many years until I came along. We paid for, in my opinion, 100% of NATO because they weren't paying their bills.
We didn't. That's not true.
And all we're asking for is to get Greenland, including right title and ownership, because you need the ownership to defend it. You can't defend it on a lease. Number one, legally it's not defensible that way, totally. And number two, psychologically, who the hell wants to defend a license agreement or a lease, which is a large piece of ice in the middle of the ocean where if there is a war, much of the action will take place on that piece of ice. Think of it. Those missiles would be flying right over the center of that piece of ice. All we want from Denmark,
There's the piece of ice thing that they're claiming.
for national and international security and to keep our very energetic and dangerous potential enemies at bay, is this land on which we're going to build the greatest golden dome ever built. We're building a golden dome that's going to, just by its very nature, going to be defending Canada. Canada gets a lot of freebies from us, by the way. They should be grateful also, but they're not. I watched your prime minister yesterday. He wasn't so grateful. They should be grateful.
It's just personal vendettas for him, right? They didn't give him the Nobel Peace Prize. I'm taking Greenland. The prime minister said something bad about me. They don't appreciate me.
To us. Canada lives because of the United States. Remember that, Mark, the next time you make your statements. What we did for Israel was amazing, but that's nothing compared to what we have planned for the United States, Canada, and the rest of the world. We're going to build a dome like no other. We did it for Israel. And by the way, I told Baby, stop taking credit for the dome. That's our technology. That's our stuff. But they had a lot of courage, and they were good fighters, and they did a good job, and we wiped out the Iran nuclear threat like nobody can believe. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. That, Venezuela, taking down Soleimani, wiping out al-Baghdadi when he tried to reinstitute ISIS. We did a lot. I did a lot of big things, all perfectly executed. Everyone was perfectly executed. Somebody told me that, a military expert told me, sir, everything you've done has been perfectly executed. I said, I know. So other presidents...
Sure he did. A military expert, unnamed military expert, came to me and said, sir, everything you've done has been perfect. I know.
spent, whether foolishly or not, trillions and trillions of dollars on NATO and got
Yes, support the show if you want to. That's how I pay the fucking bills around here.
absolutely nothing in return. We've never asked for anything. It's always a one-way street. Now they want us to help them with Ukraine. And let me say, we're going to. I'm really helping, not even them. I want to see, last week, if you saw, it was 10,000 soldiers, but last month it was 31,000 soldiers died. 31,000, that's this room times, the number of people in this room times 30. Think of it, 30,000 soldiers died. In the month before it was 27,000. The month before that it was 28,000. The month before that it was 25,000. It's a bloodbath over there. And that's what I want to stop. It doesn't help the United States, but these are souls. These are young people. Look like you, look like some of you right in the front row. They go to war, their parents are so proud. Oh,
It's like a fucking guy negotiating a car and like kicking the tires and be like, I don't know about that. Looks a little worn out. This mirror's a little bit loose. He's like, it's just a piece of ice. I don't even really want it, but I want it. But I don't know if it's just a piece of ice out in the middle of nowhere. I don't want the minerals. They're under ice. I don't want the rare earth. It's under ice. I don't want it's just a piece of ice, but I want it. I'm going to get it. I'm about to take it.
comes back 2 weeks later, they get a call, your son's head's been blown off. I want to stop it. It's a horrible war. It's the worst since World War II. They keep going, they'll exceed World War II. The numbers are staggering, how many people they've lost. They don't want to talk about it. Ukraine and Russia lost just tremendous amounts. And I'm dealing with President Putin, and he wants to make a deal, I believe. I'm dealing with President Zelensky, and I think he wants to make a deal. I'm meeting him today. He might be in the audience right now. But they got to get that war stopped because too many people are dying, needlessly dying. Too many souls are being lost. It's the only reason I'm interested in doing it. But in doing it, I'm helping Europe, I'm helping NATO, and I've, until the last few days when I told them about Iceland, they loved me. They called me daddy, right, last time. A very smart man said, he's our daddy. He's running it. I was like running it. I went from running it to being a terrible human being. But now what I'm asking for is a piece of ice, cold and poorly located, that can play a vital role in world peace and world protection. It's a very small ask compared to what we have given them for
It's a very small ask. Give me that country now.
many, many decades.
And what's crazy is like, he can't even articulate our need for it. The military. They'll let you put as many troops as you want to there, bro. You're a member of NATO, right? Just put the fucking bases there, put the troops there, put the missile systems there, put it all there. Boats, submarines, whatever you put it there. But we need it. Not for the minerals, not for the oil, not for the rare earths.
Problem with NATO is that we'll be there for them 100%, but I'm not sure that they'd be there for us if we gave them the call.
Again, the only time since NATO has been around that Article 5 was officially enacted, which means that's the call to common defense. If you're attacked, we all come and help you defend. In your own, it's not like going out and starting a war. Your own country, your country's attacked. The only time was after September 11th.
Gentlemen, we are being attacked. We're under attack by such and such a nation. I know them all very well. I'm not sure that they'd be there. I know we'd be there for them. I don't know that they'd be there for us. So with all of the money we expend, with all of the blood, sweat, and tears, I don't know that they'd be there for us. They're not there for us on Iceland, that I can tell you. I mean, our stock market took the first dip yesterday because
What was that?
I don't know that they'd be there for us. They're not there for us on Iceland, that I can tell you. I mean, our stock market took the first dip yesterday because of Iceland. So Iceland's
Excuse me? That's 3 times.
they'd be there for us. They're not there for us on Iceland, that I can tell you. I mean, our stock market took the first dip yesterday because of Iceland. So Iceland's already cost us a lot of money. But that dip is peanuts compared to what it's gone up. And we have an unbelievable.
That's 3 Icelands in a row. Three Icelands in a row. Carolyn Levitt says he never said it. He never called Greenland Iceland. Instead, his written remarks said that Iceland or Greenland is a chunk of ice. Again, why lie so blatantly? She didn't even have to respond to that. Right? She didn't have to respond to it at all. She chose to quote tweet someone and say, "Nope, you're wrong. You're wrong."
Unbelievable future in that of Iceland. So Iceland's already cost us a lot of money. But that dip is peanuts compared to what it's gone up. And we have an unbelievable future in that stock. That stock market is going to be doubled. We're going to hit 50,000 and that stock market's going to double in a relatively short period of time because of everything that's happening. But there's a good example. After giving NATO and European nations.
Chat, I got a question for you, legit. So, you know, a silver came really close to breaking $100 an ounce, okay? A lot of it on what Trump's doing. Like, it took a big jump when we went to Venezuela. It took a big jump when Trump said he wouldn't rule out military intervention in Greenland and was ramping up fears about invading Greenland. But last night, it's hovering. Well, last I checked it, it's hovering around maybe 92 or something. So it actually came down some. Do you think it's going to continue to go up? 93.08, down all the way down to 90 today at like 7 o'clock. Think it's going to continue to go up? Think it's going down? What do you think so? I don't have a bunch. I probably have a few $100 worth that I bought at, I don't know, $25 an ounce. I wish I'd have bought more when I had the chance, but obviously, right, hindsight, everybody probably wishes they bought more. What do you think? You think that's its? So, if you don't know, an asset like this typically has these barriers, right? So, like, if it breaks 100, there's a good chance it might stay above 100 or even continue to climb. But other people say, oh my God, it's getting close to 100. They sell. And then they, it doesn't break 100, right? Because the market sees a sell-off. So if it breaks through this barrier, there's a good chance that it'll maybe continue to go 102, 103, 105, whatever. Not to like 200 or like 10,000 like Phil says. But if it's like a self-defeating prophecy. People see it getting close to 100. They're like, that's it. I'm selling. Right? And that causes it to dip.
Trillions and trillions of dollars in defense. They buy our weapons. We make the greatest weapons in the world, but now we're going to make them faster.
Yeah, buying so much and getting a lot of it for free. He wasn't even really buying it, right? All that money that he had coming in, $17,000, $17,500 a week from his downline, that was paying for all the fucking silver he could ever get, right?
Much faster, you saw that. I put a cap on the salaries. Then I put no buybacks, no stock buybacks, no various other things that they were doing. I mean, they were making $50 million, but it would take them 3 years to give you a Patriot missile. I said, that's not good. My chauffeur can do a better job than that, and he makes slightly less than 50. They make big salaries. If they're going to make those big salaries, they're going to have to
I think it's probably artificially high right now.
produce a lot faster. The good news is we have the greatest equipment in the world. Now we're going to start making it a lot faster. They're going to build additional plants. And all of the money that goes into stock buybacks is going to go into building plants. We're not allowing stock buybacks by defense.
In 30 days, it's went from 68 to almost 100. In 30 fucking days. In 6 months, it's went from 35 to almost 100.
Companies any longer. They're going to build new plants to make Tomahawks, Patriots. We have the best equipment. F-35s, F-47, the new one just coming out. They say it's the most devastating plane, fighter jet ever. Who knows? They called it 47. If I don't like it, I'm going to take the 47 off it. I wonder why they called it 47, what to think about that. But if I don't like it, I'm going to take that 47 off. But it's supposed to be the Stage 6. It's supposed to be the first Stage 6 plane, undetectable, like our B-2 bombers were undetectable. They flew right over.
Stage 6 plane.
And they did their job, and they got the hell out of there. So we want a piece of ice for world protection, and they won't give it. We've never asked for anything else, and we could have kept that piece of land, and we didn't. So they have a choice.
I think he means like sixth generation. I don't know what the fucking stage 6
Well,
is.
did their job and they got the hell out of there. So we want a piece of ice for world protection, and they won't give it. We've never asked for anything else, and we could have kept. Our B-2 bombers were undetected. I'm going to take that 47 off. 47, if I don't, 35s. F-47, the new one just coming out. They say it's the most devastating plane, fighter jet ever. Who knows? They called it 47. If I don't like it, I'm going to take the 47 off. And I wonder why they called it.
You 100% you instructed them to call it the F-47. Or someone in your administration did. They didn't arbitrarily pick that number and it just happened to line up with you're the 47th president. No fucking way, dude. You're lying.
But 47, what to think about that. But if I don't like it, I'm going to take that 47 off. But it's supposed to be the stage 6. It's supposed to be the first stage 6 plane, undetectable, like our B-2 bombers were undetectable. They flew right over Iran. They were undetectable. And they did their job and they got the hell.
So we're on the 6th generation of fighter jets, most people agree, is what will be coming out next. And some of the characteristics of it, like advanced stealth, better range, better speed, digital AI, potentially integration for target acquisition, shit like that, new weapon systems, maybe even like energy weapons or lasers, shit like that. And then one of the big things is the wingman. So the 6th generation fighter will probably have a pilot in the seat. Will definitely have a pilot in the seat. But it'll have many, like small, not like many drones that deploy with it that are wingmen, that can basically put out any radar signature they want. So it appeared like they're also full-size jets flying with it that have their own weapon systems and their own radar, and it all communicates together, right? So it'll have autonomous wingmen for strikes and electronic jamming and electronic warfare, all that shit, which would be pretty cool.
The hell out of there. So we want a piece of ice for world protection, and they won't give it. We've never asked for anything else, and we could have kept that piece of land, and we didn't. So they have a choice. You can say yes, and we will be very appreciative, or you can say no, and we will remember. A strong...
How he acts like Greenland can just be like, yeah, there's people there, bro, that don't want to, like, how we don't even take that into consideration. What if Mexico was demanding about Texas and they had the power to just fuck us up, right? You think Trump would be like, yeah, you can have it. You're good. We don't care. You've done a lot for us, Mexico.
And secure America means a strong NATO. And that's one reason why I'm working every day to ensure our military is very powerful. Our borders are very strong.
And Mexico actually has a legitimate claim to it. You know what I mean? Like, that was Mexico. We took it from them. They're like, it's just a desert, you know? It's just a big fucking hotspot.
And above all, our economy is strong because national security requires economic security and economic prosperity, and we have the greatest that we've ever had. Biden and his allies destroyed our economy and gave us perhaps the worst inflation in American history. They say 48 years, I say forever, but I think 48 years is the equivalent to forever. Whether it's 48 years or ever, it's terrible. Costing the typical family $33,000. What they did to this country should never, ever be forgotten. It's early, but he has to be rated as the worst president we've ever had by far. The auto pen.
He just told you that he lies just now. He's like, they tell me that the inflation under Biden was the worst in 48 years, but I just say forever because 48 years is forever to me. So you just lie and say it's the worst inflation ever? Like, you just lie.
Did much of the damage. The auto pen, he was the auto pen president, because I don't believe a sane president would have ever signed the kind of things that he signed. But now grocery prices, energy prices, airfares, mortgage rates, rent, and car payments are all coming down, and they're coming down fast. We inherited a mess. But we've done a hell of a job in 12 months. Under my most favored nation policy for drug prices, the cost of prescription drugs is coming down by up to 90%, depending on the way you calculate. You could also say 5, 6, 7, 800%. There are two ways of figuring.
It was the worst inflation through COVID in like 40 years, but the world saw it. Wasn't decisions Biden made, or the rest of the world would be doing really well, right? Or at least average. Like, we did better than the rest of the fucking world.
That. But we have a favored nations policy that every president wanted, no president was able to get. I got it, and other nations approved it, and I had to use tariffs in order to get it because they said no way. In other words, a pill that costs 10% in London costs $130. Think it costs $10 in London, costs $130 in New York or in Los Angeles. And I'd say, boy, that's bad. Friends of mine would say, you know, we go to London, you can buy.
They have a system where they can negotiate certain drugs for their people. Like, what are you doing?
this stuff for nothing. We go all over the world. We could buy it for nothing because basically America was subsidizing every nation in the world.
Fix the healthcare system, right? Make it single payer. And as a collective, we'll negotiate our drug prices.
Because presidents allowed them to get away with it. It became very tough. So when I called up Emmanuel Macron, I watched him yesterday with those beautiful sunglasses. What the hell happened? But I watched him sort of be tough. But he was at $10 for a pill. And I said, Emmanuel, and I have all the big pharmaceutical companies are in total agreement. It wasn't easy, by the way. They're tough, smart. They've been getting away with this scam for a long time. But they gave it up. But they said, you'll never get the countries to approve it. I said, why is that? Because they won't. They always said, we're not paying any more. Get the rest for the United States. Over the years, they stayed the same. We just went up, up, up.
I probably have less than $1,000, but close to $1,000 in silver if I sold it right now.
And I mean, we would pay 13, 14, 15 times more than some certain countries would. So I said, no, they'll approve it 100%. So you'll never get them to approve it. I said, I guarantee it. But I actually started with Emmanuel, who probably is in the room too. And I like it.
I think if we ever get, I don't know, I'm going to buy silver again. Even if I sell my silver, I'm going to buy silver again when it drops.
I actually like them. Hard to believe, isn't it? And I said, Emmanuel, you're going to have to lift the price of that pill.
I like how it just sets around, but I can also go to a pawn shop and cash it out if I need to.
To $20, maybe $30. Think of that. That means it's a doubling of prescription drugs. Might be a tripling, might be a quadrupling. It's not easy. No, Donald, I will not do that. I said, yes, you will, 100%. He said, no. You're asking me to double. I said, Emmanuel, you've been taking advantage of the United States for 30 years with prescription drugs. You really should do it, and you will do it. I have no doubt. In fact, I am 100% sure you're going to. No, I will not do it. Because yes, in all fairness, he has to double or triple. Because the world being a bigger place than the United States, it's not that you meet in the middle. You just have to go up some, and we come down a lot. They go up a little, we come down a lot. So we're at $130. They're at 10. So they may have to go to 20 or 30. No more than that. I said, Emmanuel, you're going to be doubling or tripling. No. I said, here's the story, Emmanuel. The answer is you're going to do it. You're going to do it fast. And if you don't, I'm putting a 25% tariff on everything that you sell into the United States and a 100% tariff on your wines and champagnes. And that's about 10 times more than what I'm requesting. And you're going to do it. I don't want to go public with it, but you may make me do that. No, Donald, I will do it. I will do it. It took me on average.
That's just chastising world leaders. Like, for what reason? Oh, and he leaked everybody's text message. That was world leaders' text messages with him.
3 minutes.
Dude is insane.
Saying the same thing. You will do it. They all said, no, I will not do it. You're asking me to double the cost of prescription. I said, that's right, because you've been screwing us for 30 years. And they said, we will not do it. I said, that's all right. On Monday morning, we're putting a 25, 30, 50. I gave different numbers for different countries. This is also national security we're talking about. Not fair. We're not going to subsidize the whole world. And every one of those countries have agreed to do it. So one of the biggest things that I've done is the fact that we have now most favored nation. We will pay whatever the lowest price is in the entire world. So our drug prices are going to be coming down by staggering 90%. Again, you could say 1,000%, 2,000%, depends on the way you want to figure it, but we'll go with the way the fake news likes it better because it sounds, can you imagine a 90% reduction? Sounds much worse. But drug prices are going to be coming down tremendously in all the nations, and I appreciate them doing it, but they did it. In all fairness, without tariffs, I wouldn't have been able to get it done. After declining $3,000 under Biden, real incomes are up in the United States by $2,000, $3,000, and even $5,000 and more. Home ownership has always...
Well, they can't be both. How? They can't... It can't be up 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 and more.
Symbol of health and vigor of American society, but that goal fell out of reach for millions and millions of people in the Biden era because interest rates went up so high. Today, I'm taking action to bring back this bedrock of the American dream. In recent years, Wall Street giants and institutional investment firms, many of you are here, many of you are good friends of mine, many of you are supporters. Sorry to do this to you, I'm so sorry. But you've driven up housing prices by purchasing hundreds of thousands of single-family homes, and it's been a great investment for them. Often as much as 10% of houses on the market. You know, the crazy thing is a person can't get depreciation on a house, but when a corporation buys it, they get depreciation. Okay, that's something we're going to have to think about too. I don't know if too many people think about that. You buy a corporation, they buy 500 houses, they buy hundreds of thousands.
Dude, I'd give anything to be close enough to the administration to have some of the insider trading tips they've had. Like, holy shit.
They buy 500 houses, they can take depreciation. A person sweats and works and buys one house, they can't. But homes are built for people, not for corporations, and America will not become a nation of renters. We're not going to do that. That's why I have signed an executive order banning large institutional investors from buying single-family.
Even on like fucking prediction markets, right? With Trump invading Venezuela, look how much money was made off that because somebody predicted it was going to happen like fucking a few hours before it happened.
Homes, it's just not fair to the public. They're not able to buy a house. And I'm calling on Congress to pass that ban into permanent law, and I think they will. One of the biggest barriers to saving for a down payment has been surging credit card debt. The profit margin for credit card companies now exceeds 50%, one of the biggest. And they charge Americans interest rates of 28%, 30%, 31%, 32%. Whatever happened to usury? So to help our citizens recover from the Biden disaster, all caused by this.
You know, the agency that actually dealt with that and protected people against credit card companies and and fucking loans and preying on people through interest rates, Trump actually made obsolete, right? He shut it down to where there's only a handful of people working there and they don't do anything. What was it? Consumer Financial Protection Bureau?
Horrible, just horrible.
CFPB?
I'm asking Congress to cap credit card interest rates at 10% for 1 year. And this will help millions of Americans save for a home. They have no idea they're paying 28%, 10% for 1 year. And this will help millions of Americans save for a home.
If you don't know, you're retarded if you don't know that you're a roundabout number of what your interest rate is. Like, I'm not saying you know it down to the decimal point, but you should know, like, hey, I'm paying over 20% interest rate or something.
They have no idea they're paying 28%. They go out there a little late in their payment and they end up losing their house. It's terrible. To unleash innovation in savings and financing, I'm also working to ensure America remains the crypto capital of the world. And to that end, last year I signed the landmark Genius Act into
He hasn't done shit. The crypto bros that were all voting for Trump, they haven't got shit out of it. Trust me, I've got a bunch of XRP that hasn't done shit.
law. Now Congress is working very hard on crypto market structure legislation, Bitcoin, all of them, which I hope to sign very soon, unlocking new pathways for Americans to reach financial freedom. And I did it for two reasons. Number one, I thought it was politically good, and it was. I got tremendous political support. But more importantly, China wanted that market too. It's just like they want the AI. And we've got that market, I think, pretty well locked up. If I didn't do it, Biden was totally against it until before the election.
Did you see they finally admitted that Doge fucked with the Social Security? The Social Security Administration? The Trump administration concedes that Doge team may have misused Social Security data. When everybody was yelling, what are they doing with this data? Why they need access to it? What are they doing? What are these Russian hacking accounts? Why is everybody logging into this unsecured line? Why they set up Starlink? What are they doing with the data? What are they doing with the data? They're fucking with it. And they're like, no. Two members of Elon Musk's Doge team working at Social Security Administration were secretly in touch with advocacy groups seeking to overturn election results in certain states. This is the only one that we found so far. And one signed an agreement that may have involved using Social Security data to match state voter rolls, the Justice Department revealed in a newly disclosed court papers. Elizabeth Shapiro, a top Justice Department official, said SSA referred both Doge employees for potential violations of the Hatch Act, which bars government employees from using their official positions for political purposes. Somebody literally reached out to them and said, hey, we're an NGO looking into voter fraud. Can we have the data from the Social Security Department, Social Security Administration? They're like, yeah, sure. Let me sign a written agreement that says you can have it. Fucking retards.
Election, when they realized that there were millions of people voting against them over crypto, and all of a sudden they loved it very much, but it was too late. They blew it. But it is politically popular. But it's much more important. We have to make it so that China doesn't get a hold of it. And once they have that hold, we're not going to be able to get it back. So I'm honored to have done it. Finally,
And the only reason we got this is that Shapiro's previously unreported disclosure, dated Friday, came as part of a list of corrections to testimony they gave to Congress by Social Security Administration officials during last year's legal battles over Doge's access to Social Security data. They revealed that Doge team members shared data on unapproved third-party servers, which was the allegation, rather setting up their own servers, and may have accessed private information that had been ruled off limits by the court at the time. So they were not in compliance with the court rulings. Of course they weren't.
Instructed government-backed institutions to purchase up to $200 billion in mortgage bonds to bring down interest rates. And I'll be announcing a new Fed chairman in the not-too-distant future. I think he'll do a very good job. So they gave away some of it. He did give that away. So we have something, get something. But somebody that's very respected. They're all respected. They're all great. Everyone that I interviewed is great. Everyone could do, I think, a fantastic job. Problem is they change once they get the job. They do. They're saying everything I want to hear, and then they get the job. They're locked in for 6 years. They get the job, and all of a sudden, let's raise rates a little bit. I call it absurd. We'd rather not talk about this. It's amazing how people change once they have the job, but it's too bad. Sort of disloyalty, but they got to do what they think is right. We have a terrible chairman right now, Jerome Too Late Powell. He's always too late. And he's very late with interest rates, except
he doesn't even they vote on this, right? He's just the mouthpiece. And they're trying to judge the uncertainty that is Trump. It's the only thing holding it together right now. Trump is going to put a loyalist in there, and he's going to fuck it up. There was one of those gangster-ass Jerome Powell memes where they're like, have you requested a meeting to speak with President Trump about, how upset he is with you and you're stepping down, blah, blah, blah? And he's like, no. And they're like, why not? And he's like, I've never requested a meeting to speak with the president, and I never will. Boom, mic drop.
Before the election, he was just fine for the other side. So we're going to have somebody that's great, and we hope he does the right job. Last week, the average 30-year mortgage rate dropped below 6% for the first time in many years. Another major factor in driving up housing costs was the mass invasion of our borders. And I have to say one thing about housing, because nobody ever says this. I am very protective of people that already own a house. of which we have millions and millions and millions. And because we have had such a good run, the house values have gone up tremendously. And these people have become wealthy. They weren't wealthy, they become wealthy because of their house. And every time you make it more and more and more affordable for somebody to buy a house cheaply, you're actually hurting the value of those houses, obviously, because the one thing works in tandem with the other. And I don't want to do anything that's going to hurt the value of people that own a house who, for the first time in their lives, are walking around the streets of whatever city they're in, very proud that their house is worth $500,000, $600,000, $700,000. Now, if I want to really crush the housing market, I could do that so fast that people could buy houses, but you would destroy a lot of people.
Crush it, motherfucker. We're ready.
That already have houses. In some cases, they've mortgaged their house, and the mortgage would be very low, and all of a sudden, the mortgage without any change.
Just crush it for 5 years and tell them they'll get it back, and then it's just hold on, don't sell.
It becomes very high, and they end up losing the house. I'm not going to hurt, and I speak with Scott, who's doing a fantastic job, and Howard, who's doing a fantastic job, and all of my people. And I always say, look,
He said they get in there for 6 months, and I ask to change the rate, and they say no. Yeah.
I can crush the hell out of the market. We can drop interest rates to a level, and that's one thing we do want to do. That's natural.
He shouldn't be asking anybody to adjust the rate, right? He shouldn't be trying to pressure anybody to do it. They're a separate entity that look at everything, not just does Trump want cheaper interest rates.
Well, that's good for everybody. The dropping of the interest rates, we should be paying a much lower interest rate than we are. We should be paying the lowest interest rate of any country in the world, because without the United States, you don't have a country. When I had a case with Switzerland, we happened to be in Switzerland. Maybe I'll give you a quick story. But they were paying nothing. They make beautiful watches, great watches, Rolex, all of them. They were paying nothing.
Yes, Doge was using just a Cloudflare server that they had set up to share your and my Social Security data on, even though they testified again and again and again and again and again they weren't.
To the United States when they sent their product in. And we had a $41 billion deficit. $41 billion with this beautiful place. Flew over it, isn't it nice? So I said, let's put a 30% tariff on them so that we get back some of it, not all of it at all. We still have a deficit, big deficit. We had 41 million. That's a big deficit. And I said, let's put a tariff on different tariffs, different places. You're all party to them, in some cases victims to them, but in the end it's a fair thing. And most of you realize that. But we put a 30% tariff on Switzerland, and all hell broke loose. They were calling, I mean, like you wouldn't believe. And I know so many people from Switzerland, incredible place, incredible, brilliant place. But I didn't realize that they're only good because of us. And there's so many other examples. I mean, us.
They're only good because of us.
Probably other places, but a majority of the money they make is because of us, because we never charged them anything. So they come in, they sell their watches, no tariffs, no nothing. They walk away, they make $41 billion on just us. So I said, no, we can't do that. So I'm going to bring it up. I still would have a deficit pretty substantial, but I brought it up to 30%. And I guess Prime Minister, I don't think President, I think Prime
Trump has like a child's view of the world. They sell watches, Swiss watches. Mexico, they got the tacos. Like, what the fuck?
Called a woman, and she was very repetitive. She said, no, you cannot do that, 30%. You cannot do that. We are a small, small country. I said, yeah, but you have a big, big deficit. You may be small, but you have a bigger deficit than big countries. He said, no, please, you cannot do it. Kept saying the same thing over and over. We are a small country. I said, but you're a big country in terms of, and she just rubbed me the wrong way, I'll be honest with you. And I said, all right, thank you, ma'am, appreciate it. Do not do this. Thank you very much, ma'am. And I made it 39%. And then all hell really broke out. And I was paid visits by everybody. Rolex came to see me. They all came to see me. But I realized, and I reduced it, because I don't want to hurt people. I don't want to hurt them. And we brought it down to a lower level. Doesn't mean it's not going up, but we brought it down to a lower level. But they pay now, tariff. But I realized that we have many places like that where they're making a fortune because of the United States. Without the United States, they wouldn't be making anything. Think of it.
When Carolyn Levitt gets the question that says Trump seemed to have called Greenland, Iceland 4 times during his Davos speech, and you claimed that his written notes said it was a chunk of ice and claimed that he did not. What was the disconnect? What do you think her excuse is going to be? Well, he didn't say Iceland. He said it's an ice land because there's a lot of ice there. And you liberal biased fucking reporters with all your climate change, you should know more than anything that there's ice there.
Switzerland made $41 billion on us. And as she said, it's a small place. And I realized with that, I don't know, it was so because she was so aggressive. And I realized.
Well, when the closed captioning comes on for foreign languages, it just puts rambling in parentheses for 90% of the speech.
In that conversation that the United States is keeping the whole world afloat. Many places, I could give you 6, 7 places just in the people in this little area. I know every one of them. They're sort of they're looking down. They don't want to see me. They don't want to stare me in the eyes. But they're taking advantage of. Everybody took advantage of the United States. But I've been very fair, and I gave them a tariff, and it was fine. But I realized that without us, it's not Switzerland anymore. Without us, it's not any of the countries that are represented here.
Do you think you take advantage of Walmart when you spend $1,000 a month there buying groceries and clothes and whatever you buy at Walmart? Do you think you're taking advantage of Walmart because they're not buying $1,000 of whatever you make at your job every month.
And we want to work with the countries. We want to work with them. We're not looking to destroy them. I could have said 39, 40%. I could have said I want a 70% tariff, then we make money with Switzerland. But Switzerland would have been probably destroyed, financially destroyed. I don't want to do that. But we should be paying the lowest interest rate of everybody. I hope Scott's listening to this.
This ought to scare every other country that's not us, right? They should start opening lines of trade with anybody else in the world, including China and Russia and whoever will fucking trade with them.
Because we should be paying the lowest interest rate of everybody. Without us, most of the countries don't even work. And then you have the protection factor. Without our military, which is the greatest in the world by far, without our military, you have threats that you wouldn't believe. You don't have threats because of us, and that's because of NATO. One other thing, and I have to say it so importantly, in the old days, and I used to say I'm the youngest in the room, now I'm among the older, I hate to say it.
In the last fucking couple decades, when have you been the youngest in the room? Even talking about world leaders, you're not even fucking close, bro.
I don't feel old, but I'm among the older. But I remember not long ago, 20, 25 years ago, when good news came out about, let's say, the United States. The United States had a great quarter. The United States had a great month. All the stocks went up. And that's the way it's supposed to be. Now when they say the United States had a record quarter, it's unbelievable how well it's doing. All the stocks crash because they say, oh no, inflation, they're going to raise interest rates. And they do. Some of these stupid people like Powell, they raise interest rates. And what they do is they stop you from being successful. It used to be when we had a great quarter.
I don't know how he doesn't understand. Interest rates is how we combat inflation. And it is such a fine line between if we lower it too much, people will go out and borrow tons of money, spend it, inflation skyrockets. And if we raise it too much, right, people aren't, and stuff starts to stagnate. I don't know how he doesn't understand this and why we need a separate body rather than someone that can just change it on a whim because they told their guy to fucking change it and make his numbers look good right before midterms, and then it fucking crashes immediately afterwards.
A great month, great earnings, great anything, any good news. The stock market went up. That's the way it's going to be. We got to do that again because that's the way it should be. Now when we have a great month, they want to kill it. Like we did over 5%. People were surprised. We should do 20%. We could do 25%. When we announce good numbers, and the reason is they're so petrified of inflation. And growth doesn't mean inflation. We've had tremendous growth with very low inflation. In fact, growth can fight inflation, proper growth.
With the proper interest rates. Yeah, you're exactly right. That's what they're doing.
So we want to get back to the days when we announced great numbers because we're going to be announcing phenomenal. You know, all these factories that are being built at record, thousands of businesses are being built.
By the way, factory jobs tanked under Trump. And that was his whole thing. Right? We're bringing factories back. We're going to tariff them to where you can't build. You got to build in America. You got to do this. You got to do this. No, it fucking tanked. $72,000 manufacturing jobs between April and December. 72,000 manufacturing jobs. The one thing that he's like, I'm bringing it back.
Right now, remember, $18 trillion is invested. I think the second number is 3, and that was China many years ago. Investments in the country from outside. 18 trillion, nobody's ever seen it. That's money coming in and building things, factories. Thousands of businesses are being built, thousands.
That's people telling him we're bringing money, then you double it, and then the White House doubles it, and the next time you get it, you double it, and bullshit.
The big factories, car plants are moving back to the United States. They're coming in from Canada. They're coming in from Mexico, from Japan. Japan's coming in and building plants here in order to avoid tariffs.
Korea was building plants. What'd you do with those Korean people that were here to set up the plant? Oh, you let some white lady call it an ice tip and arrested them all.
They're coming in from China. They're coming in from all over the world. We have more plants being built now, car plants, than we've ever had built, even in the heyday from the 1940s and 50s. And they're bigger. They don't use renovations anymore where they take an old plant, they rip it down, they build a brand new plant, super modern plant. But it's happening at levels that nobody's ever seen. In 2024, the U.S. built less than 2 million new homes, but Biden admitted more than 8 million new migrants. And those days are over. In 2025, for the first time in 50 years, the United States had reverse migration. Boy, that was nice.
Excuse me? Reverse migration.
And these were criminals that were being taken out of our country because they allowed people to come into our country from jails, from gangs, drug dealers, murderers. 11,888 murderers. We've gotten most of them out. And then ICE gets beat up by stupid people from leadership in Minnesota.
While they're hiding the numbers and Trump's making it up and saying no one crosses the border ever.
We actually are helping Minnesota so much, but they don't appreciate it. Most places do. You know, Washington, D.C. is the safest place now in the United States. It was a very dangerous place to walk, and now you can walk with your wife, your kids, right through the middle of the city right now. Washington, D.C. is as safe as it gets. It was one of the most unsafe. I had to admit, we sent in the military, the National Guard. Within 2 months, it was great. Within 3 months, it's like a really great place and a safe place and a beautiful place. It's even been cleaned up. The graffiti's gone. The fences are gone. We don't have to worry about fences anymore. All of the places, the grasses are cut and replaced with new grass in many cases. It's all going to happen in the spring. But Washington and D.C. is beautiful again, and it's safe. New restaurants are opening up. They're all closing. Now you can't get into a restaurant. Restaurants in Washington, D.C. are all opening. Memphis also. Memphis, Tennessee. New Orleans, Louisiana. We were there for 3 weeks. We've cut the crime down to...
So he jumped basically on the back end of a trend of crime going down, violent crime going down, and claims that he did it.
By 64% within another month. We'll have virtually no crime there. We can do that all over. We're going to help the people in California. We want to have no crime and no...
Our schools still take fucking field trips to D.C.
Gavin was here. I used to get along so great with Gavin when I was president. Gavin's a good guy. And we're going to, if you needed it, I would do it in a heartbeat. I'd love to see. We did help them a lot in Los Angeles, a lot with the early.
Oh, there was a really good video. Hold on. Let me show you. I got Twitter open, right? What? That's got to be the wrong one. I wanted to see the video of Trump talking about him, then they zoom in on him.
Two, psychologically, who the hell wants to defend a license agreement or a lease, which is a large piece of ice in the middle of the earth?
Gavin Newsom's press office said he was denied entry into the USA House in Davos following pressure from the White House administration. What the fuck? I'll find the video in a minute. It was just a meme video, but it was funny.
In my term when they had some problems, but we would love to do it. I
don't think I can play the music anyway.
Democrat governor or whatever, I would call up Trump. I'd say, come on in, make us look good, because we're cutting crime down to nothing. And we're taking people out, career criminals who are only going to do bad things, and we're bringing them back to their countries.
Did you see, oh, wait. While we're talking about, somebody mentioned Asmongold. Did you see Asmongold's reading an article? Again, he's talking about the, here it is. Asmongold almost reads an article. Watch this. He's talking about the guy in Ireland that was arrested. Allegedly, he's claiming for not using pronouns. In fact, he wasn't allowed at this school. By the court, he wasn't allowed to be at this school, and he kept showing up. So here we go. Listen. Won't use pronouns, disciplinary action, restraining order, or other legal option. He violates the order. You are now in jail. That's Destiny's flowchart he's got put up here.
So they create a disciplinary action, and then the disciplinary action is unfair, but it's being used as a supporting bit of evidence for having a restraining order. And then now the
restraining order came because once you're fired from your job, the job typically doesn't like it for you to show back up again. That's, believe it or not, that's actually really normal at most places of work.
So this is what happened. It's the original article when it happened, by the way. Yeah, let's see here if I can find it.
You know what would be crazy for this? You know what would be a crazy chart for Roach Lord to make? I wonder if we'd ever draw like boxes like this. Maybe.
It says, shouts conflicting things, stands in front of car, you leave, shoots and kills you. Flowchart.
For that, it was actually a super clear-cut case of the officer needed to be there. He had to stand right in front of the car. It doesn't matter what was going on at the point in time. He absolutely had authorization, no matter what the preceding events were, to shoot and kill that woman at that point in time. But a restraining order against a teacher who keeps coming back to a school they've been fired from is just beyond the pale.
Teacher jailed for contempt of court after refusing to use students' gender-neutral pronouns. And I think this is also a very big difference, too.
So he was clickbaited. The very next article, or the very next sentence, he took the title and ran with it. The very next sentence in that article, I'm reading it off the screen, says, a teacher in Ireland was jailed this week for violating a court order forbidding him from going to the school. He was so close to reading it.
Whenever you look at it, because this is not somebody who is...
A teacher in Ireland was jailed this week for violating a court order forbidding him from going to the school. Wait, is he watching the video? Is he watching the video that I'm watching? Or is he committing the exact same mistake that he committed in the video that I'm watching where he's not even reading the fucking article? Stop.
I like watching Destiny crash out.
Okay, I'm reading. Stop. No, he's going to keep reading. He's going to keep reading. He's going to keep reading.
Teacher jailed for contempt of court after refusing to use students' gender-neutral pronouns. And I think this is also a very big difference, too, whenever you look at it.
Someone in his chat literally says, So you were clickbaited? No! And he closes the article.
Because this is not somebody who is using a pronoun of like he or she. This is somebody that wants to be referred to as they, them. Like they, them doesn't exist. You're either male or female. Now, are there, unique extreme medical...
You're not going to read the article? It's just the next sentence. Teacher jailed for contempt of court. Contemptuous behavior, unless it's different in the UK, contempt means violating a court order. That's what contempt is. You can't jail somebody or charge somebody with the crime of contempt. What happened? He was outside and he did contempt. Contempt means that you're violating some kind of court order. That's what contempt is. Or something, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if there are other types of contempt. I've never heard of that before. Generally, contempt of court, especially contempt, is you're contemptuous of a court order. You're betraying some court order. That's literally the only thing this can mean.
So it's Ireland. Yes, this is in Ireland, right?
Oh, is he going to read it?
What happens to teacher in Ireland? And does Ireland have free...
It's wild that they've become, like I told you about that account on Twitter now that's arguing against Second Amendment shit and tagging the ATF and shit because now leftists, they're an ammo manufacturing company. And they're one of those people like, you can pry it from my cold dead hands. But now they're like fucking snitching on leftists, Democrats that are using that are holding firearms to protect themselves in Minneapolis, right? Like it's fucking insane, okay? It's wild that they've done this. Now they're arguing against people having the right to trespass other people or prevent them from coming to the private property. They should be able to arrest somebody for just showing up where they haven't worked at in 8 months. That's crazy.
Speech. No, they do not.
Oh, he almost started to read it. Hold on. He almost got it. He almost started to read it. Hold on.
They have degrees of free expression, but they do not have free speech like America does.
What? By the way, Americans believe this shit. I used to grow up, I'm going to be honest, until I was like fucking probably 14 years old, thinking America was the only democracy on the planet, just based on what my mom told me. I thought we were
Yes, me too.
the only ones with any freedoms at all, and nobody else said monarchies or nobody else said democracies or anything. Apparently, Asmongold got the same childhood education as I did. Thank you, Cuban mother.
If you don't...
Okay. I'm going to reveal something. Don't fucking run away if you're new here. I was actually a Trump supporter last election. I recently woke up. Not recently. January 6th and all that shit and the lies about the stolen election and shit made me completely flip. My parents died. They were a big influence. I'm like in the reddest of red areas in Tennessee, and it's all I fucking know. So don't run away. I'm different now. I'm going to start my TikTok videos by saying, I saw this guy do it the other day because he's got like a Southern accent and a beard and fucking whatever. He always starts his TikTok videos with like, don't leave, I'm not MAGA. And then he does his video.
Believe me, look it up and educate yourself. You're going to find out that it's right.
Is free speech, is that like an agreed upon law? What is it? They don't have the free speech thing. They have free expression. What the fuck are we...
And so anyway, but W's that? No, I'm telling you, right? So you got clickbaited? No, what I'm saying is listen to this.
Okay.
So you got clickbaited? No. What I'm saying is I'm behind enemy lines in Tennessee. Very, very deep.
And so anyway, but W's that? No, I'm telling you, right? So you got clickbaited? No, what I'm saying is listen to this.
Okay.
Is that my...
me and Mariah both were voted for Kamala Harris. I think we were one of like 17 people or two of 17 people.
I lied earlier. I lied in that video. I am getting mad. I'm getting upset. I'm not emotionally stable.
That's the first time I've ever casted a vote for a Democrat.
I am just right there right now, okay? I'm getting epically trolled. It's okay. We can all have it happen. Please, dear God, bring up that fucking article again. Please bring back the fucking article. Asmongold, you little slop tube fucking piece of shit, okay? Bring it the fuck back, you motherfucker. Activate those white genes, okay? And read, you motherfucker. I know you had to read to
find out that it's right.
Is free speech, is that like an agreed upon law? What is it? They don't have the free speech thing. They have free expression. What the fuck are we...
Watch him close the article.
But
the person just asked him, you were clickbaited then?
No, I'm telling you, right? So you got clickbaited? No, what I'm saying is listen to this.
Okay.
Is that my...
Minimize the article. Highlight Ireland and then minimize the article and claim you weren't clickbaited. It's like watching The Elder Millennial. I'm getting to the point to where I can find right-wing memes and know that's going to be the Elder Millennial source. So about 2 weeks ago, I found a meme floating around that said California can't get legal citizens to show up for jury duty. Like they've called all these people for jury duty and you find out they're illegal. And that's crazy because they use the voter rolls to call jury duty. They haven't used the voter rolls to call jury duty in fucking years. My parents used to believe this. They didn't want to register to vote because they were afraid they were being called to jury duty. They figured that out. They started using the fucking DMV. So yes, California, because immigrants can get driver's license, often ends up calling a bunch of people to jury duty that end up being illegal immigrants. Then they use the voter rolls to prove that they're not here legally and kick them off jury duty. But that's the meme that Older Millennial picked up and did a video with it. Claimed it was recent, claimed that they were using the voter rolls to call jury duty, claimed that they were putting illegal immigrants on the voter rolls, and the whole study was back in, or the whole article was from back in like 2018.
Fucking put the first 3 fucking words of these stuff. I can't. I lied earlier.
I can see a meme and the traction it's getting and know that older millennials are going to make a video on it later. I'm going to start calling them out.
In that video. I am getting mad. I'm getting upset. I'm not emotionally stable. I am dysregulated right now, okay? I am getting epically trolled. It's okay. We can all have it happen. Please, dear God, bring up that fucking article again. Please bring back the fucking article. Asmongold, you little slut tube fucking piece of shit, okay? Bring it the fuck back, you motherfucker. Activate those white genes, okay? And read, you motherfucker. I know you had to read to do those World of Warcraft quests, okay? Bring back that motherfucking article.
Nope, he never brings it back. Imagine that.
But where we've done it has been amazing, and we have a capacity to do it at much greater levels. We're cutting illegal aliens off welfare and other government benefits, and I've directed that starting immediately, there will be no more payments to sanctuary cities because they are really just sanctuaries for criminals. They're really protecting criminals, and those are the ones we have to get out of the country: murderers, drug dealers, the mentally insane. They emptied their mental institutions into the United States. And despite that, we have the lowest crime numbers that we've ever had in the history of the country. Just came out. But equally importantly, we're cracking down on more than $19 billion in fraud that was stolen by Somalian bandits. Can you believe that Somalia? They turned out to be higher IQ than we thought. I always say these are low IQ people. How did they go into Minnesota and steal all that money? And we have, they're pirates, they're good pirates, right? But we shoot them out of the water just like we shoot the drug boats out. They're not pirating too many boats lately, do you notice? When they go out into those boats, they want to take over $1.5 billion tanker loaded up with oil. And they say, we're going to blow up your boat. They have powerful weapons. You hit the side of the boat, you blow the whole thing up. The insurance companies are petrified. So they say, just give them the boat. We'll give them money instead. And I don't do that.
Okay.
We blow them right the hell out of the water. We see them going out. We blow them out of the water. We don't have any pirates so much anymore. If we do, they won't be there long. We've cut down with the hitting of the boats that are loaded up with drugs, including submarines. Can you believe they actually buy small? They call mini subs, very fast. They're meant for drugs. We've knocked out 2 of them. The Democrats say they were fishing. You have ruined somebody's fishing weekend. I would say a submarine is not a fishing boat. You don't fish. But we've knocked down drugs by water, the oceans, the sea, by 97.2%. Think of that. And I actually say, who the hell are the 3%? Because I would not want to be piloting one of those boats.
That's some made-up statistic, by the way.
We knocked them down, and now we're going to start on land. We're going to knock it.
They weren't coming here. We don't know who they are. We have no evidence. We could have arrested them and made greater strides toward. It was an intimidation tactic. It's like, hey, we can fucking blow up these goddamn boats from space. What do you think about that?
Well, the land is the easy part. What we did on sea is incredible, and that's our great military. The situation in Minnesota reminds us that the West cannot mass import foreign cultures, which have failed to ever build a successful society of their own. I mean, we're taking people.
The West cannot mass import foreign cultures. Did you see the Elon Musk post? Hold on. I'll have to find it over here, actually. Hold on. While he's fighting to not be called a Nazi, did you see the post that he retweeted? Let me see if I can find it. It's not about race, but Elon Musk puts 100% emoji on this post. I'll read it to you. If white men become a minority, we will be slaughtered. Remember, if non-whites openly hate white men, while white men hold a collective majority, then they will be 1,000 times more hostile and cruel when they are a majority over whites. White solidarity is the only way to survive. And Elon Musk puts 100%. 100%. White solidarity, because they're going to kill us when they're in power. You, maybe.
People from Somalia, and Somalia is a failed, it's not a nation. Got no government, got no police, got no military, got no nothing.
Okay, let's attack Somalia. More.
And then we have this fake congressperson.
Ilhan Omar. Send her back.
Who they just reported is worth $30 million. You believe this? Ilhan Omar, talking about the Constitution provides me. She comes from a country that's not a country, and she's telling us how to run America. Not going to get away with it much longer, let me tell you. The explosion of prosperity and conclusion and progress.
That's so disgusting. To attack her and say she's not a real American, she needs to go back home. He's threatened her multiple times of sending her back to Somalia, which would be a punishment much worse than putting her in jail. Like, fucking, that's so goddamn disgusting, dude.
That built the West did not come from our tax codes. It ultimately came from our very special culture. This is the precious inheritance that America and Europe have in common. We share it. We share it, but we have to keep it strong. We have to become stronger, more successful, and more prosperous than ever. We have to
Yeah, I've got it sped up. It sounds worse when you slow him down. I just can't handle it.
that culture and rediscover the spirit that lifted the West from the depths of the Dark Ages to the pinnacle of human achievement. We live in a incredible...
Thank you, Jen, for sending people over here, by the way. I used to have when I was a Trump supporter, we had a much bigger audience. I kind of ran them all off, basically by crashing out on them in the comments all the time. So we're rebuilding. We're in a rebuilding phase.
changing period. It's an unbelievable time, but we have to take advantage of the time that we're in. In our hands are technologies that our ancestors could scarcely have. I mean, they couldn't have even dreamt some of the things that we see today. And so rapidly they're produced. I mean, AI 2 years ago.
I 1000% give the majority of credits to Destiny. Me and Destiny, we don't know each other. I don't talk to him personally or whatever. His videos, his YouTube videos. We grew up thinking right-wing, libertarian. I grew up the same way he did with the same style parents, even though my parents were immigrants, that it was always somebody else and blaming them and the people below us. And we fixed welfare queens and right-wing talk radio and shit. And the way he breaks shit down, I just get it. And I'm like, God damn, I can't believe I believe that. And this motherfucker has just disproven my whole fucking basis for that belief.
Nobody ever heard of the term, and now everybody's talking about it, and it can have some very good purpose. It could also have some dangerous purpose, and for that
He's good at what he does.
Tremendous things are happening because of it, and we're leading by so much. We're doing so well, but opportunities that are bigger and grander than ever before in human history are right before us. It is the pioneers in this room. Many of you in this room are true pioneers. You're truly brilliant people. Just your ability to get a ticket is brilliant because you have about 50 people for every seat. I don't know what. That's Larry. Everything Larry touches turns to gold. He made this very successful.
You're beautiful people. You got a seat here. You got a ticket. That's Larry. Everything Larry touches turns to gold.
But you're in this room, and some of you are the greatest leaders anywhere in the world. You're the greatest brains anywhere in the world. And the future is unlimited, and to a large part because of you, and we have to protect you, and we have to cherish you. I always say we have to cherish our brilliant people because there aren't many of them. So together with confidence, boldness, and persistence, let us lift up our people, grow our economies, defend our shared destiny, and build a future for our citizens that is more ambitious, more exciting, more inspiring, and greater than the world has ever seen. We're in a position to do things that nobody else has ever even thought of before. And many of the people in this room are the ones that are doing it, and I want to congratulate you, and I'm with you all the way. You can do things that nobody else can even think about. So I congratulate you on your tremendous success, and the United States is back, bigger, stronger, better than ever before, and I'll see you around. Thank you all very much. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Rush Limbaugh. I grew up right here in Rush Limbaugh. Finally, in their older age, I was able to mostly play with my parents, mostly play on like empathy and compassion for other people, and be able to, with the internet, and show them videos and shit. And the one thing I'll always be thankful for is my parents did not fall down the QAnon. They were ripe for it. They're like the target audience for the QAnon and stolen election and shit. And thankfully, when I was coming out of that, my mom and dad would always be like, I saw this on Facebook. Is it true? Because they knew I was, doing a podcast or whatever. And I was able to break it down and be like, well, there's like a snippet of truth, which there usually is. But really, they're saying this, this, and this, and these things don't connect. And I'm so glad they didn't fall down. Fucking election was stolen. Fuck this. The Democrats are eating babies and drinking blood and shit.
And I'll see you.
I want to hear this
Thank you all
applause.
very much. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I wouldn't say a great applause. He got a bigger applause when he came in.
This was supposed to be a nice fire chat, Mr. President.
Yes, good.
Fireside chat.
You
I got set up. No, I did know.
you made a job for the moderator, really easy. Thank you, Mr. President, for your speech. I do have a few follow-up questions, if it's okay. Sure. I don't think I should start with Greenland, maybe. I'll start with the economy. The U.S. economy is doing really, really well. But how to sustain this growth moving forward? Because there's always a recession looming around the corner.
Well, the one thing about economies and recessions is sometimes you get hit unexpectedly and there's nothing you can do about it. We're all brilliant people, but there's nothing. One example was COVID. We had an economy going at levels like nobody had ever seen my first 2.5, 3 years. And
So he gets all the credit for COVID fucking his economy, but Biden, as soon as he comes into office, in the midst of COVID and everything Trump fucked up, that was Biden did that. Biden fucked us.
then I heard the word pandemic, not COVID. They came up with that name over a period of time. We won't get into that. But I heard the word pandemic. And I had a poll come out that was so strong.
And you said, don't worry about it. It'll all be gone in a couple weeks. It's not nothing to worry about. Don't prepare. Don't get ready. Don't do nothing. We remember.
just prior to that, and I was with the two best pollsters, McLaughlin, Fabrizio, and they said, sir, George Washington and Abraham Lincoln, if they came back and ran as president and vice president, they couldn't beat you. And then what happened is the following day, I was told to stay tuned because there's something really bad happening in China. There are bodies laying all over Wuhan, right around that certain building that we talk about. I always said it came from Wuhan. It did come from Wuhan.
You guys remember when he posted, like, a couple weeks, it'll blow over. Don't worry about it. Not a big deal, right?
And they were body bags. We saw it by satellite. And they said, there are strange things happening in China. And so it began. And we ended up with the COVID, and the whole world suffered. We did a phenomenal job. I don't think we got the credit we deserve. We did something that Operation Warp Speed, which some people say was one of the greatest military feats ever. We did a great job. Used our military, used a lot of people. But sometimes you get hit with things, nothing you can do. You get hit with things like that unexpectedly. And we got through it. And when I left, the stock market was higher than it was previous to the COVID coming up. And I called it a great achievement. But things happen. Bad things happen. The things that we can stop are wars if we're smart. That we can stop. Those are a matter of being intelligent and having intelligent people on the other side. Because wars are the worst of all. Wars are worse than anything. But we can stop wars because that's sort of up to us. But things like...
Let's see. January 22nd, the day the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention confirmed what it then thought was the first case of coronavirus in the United States, Trump told a CNBC reporter that the country had it completely under control and suggested that he was not concerned about a pandemic. Quote, we have it totally under control. It's one person coming in from China, and we have it under control. It's going to be just fine. February 27th, during a February meeting with black leaders, held as U.S. health officials warned that the coronavirus pandemic might stay with the country for some time, Trump said a miracle might make the coronavirus pandemic just disappear. It's going to disappear one day. It's like a miracle. It will disappear, Trump said. And from our shores, it could get worse before it gets better. It could maybe just go away. We'll see what happens. Nobody really knows. March 11th, during an Oval Office address, Trump said that for the vast majority of Americans, the risk is very, very low. Though he did warn that the elderly population must be very, very careful. That same day, Dr. Anthony Fauci, a member of the White House Coronavirus Task Force, told members of Congress at a White House hearing that the bottom line is going to get much worse. How much worse, Fauci said, could depend on the country's ability to contain the influx of people who are infected, coming from other countries, and the ability to contain and mitigate within our own country. April 3rd, when the CDC made its initial recommendation that people wear cloth or fabric face coverings, Trump said it's going to be really a voluntary thing and emphasized that he would not do it. You can do it. You don't have to do it. I'm choosing not to do it, but some people may want to do it, and that's okay. It may be good. Probably will. They're making a recommendation. It's only a recommendation, though. Trump, who stresses how often he and the people around him are tested, wore a mask in public for the first time in July. April is when they said it, July, for a visit at Walter Reed National Medical Center. I heard they had to fucking basically browbeat him for that because he's at the goddamn Walter Reed Medical Center. May 19th, Trump told reporters that he viewed the high number of U.S. cases of coronavirus as a badge of honor and a reflection on the country's testing capacity. When we have a lot of cases, I don't look at that as a bad thing. I look at that in a certain respect as being a good thing because it means our testing is much better. So if we're testing 4 million people instead of 14 million people, we would have fewer cases, right? So I view it as a badge of honor, really. It's a badge of honor. It's a great tribute to the testing and all the work a lot of professionals have done. Days later, the U.S. recorded 100,000 known deaths from COVID-19.
Dust flying in the air, wherever COVID comes from or whatever comes, sometimes you have to be a little bit lucky. But we are poised to have an economy like no other, not only in this country, but anywhere. And when you hear the kind of numbers that I can tell you that Scott Bessent was with me the other day.
If we would have had somebody that took it seriously and listened to all the experts, we would have fared much better. And it may have even improved our economy later on down the road.
Look at the numbers, he said, I can't. And that's all he's done his whole life, pretty much your whole life. Scott, you weren't going to be a football player, I don't think.
Or at least somebody that didn't have the experts up to talk, then come to the podium immediately afterwards and undermine everything they just said.
Scott was not that great at football, but he was always good at numbers, right? And he was looking at numbers. He said, I've never seen anything like this. We're poised to do things that no other country's ever done. And, luck, I hate to say it, but we need a little luck. We don't want to get hit by something that nobody could have thought. Whoever thought we were going to hit by a pandemic? When I heard the word pandemic, I said, that's an ancient problem. World War I, they lost 100 million people. It actually ended World War I. A lot of people don't know. The Spanish flu.
This is not true. It did affect the sides, and it was coming on right at the end of the World War I, but Germany was broken by this point.
world
It's just a matter of time.
because all the soldiers were sick. The soldiers were so sick on both sides, and that war was raging, and they were all dying from the Spanish flu. They were sick as dogs. They couldn't fight. So, you don't know how that would have turned out. But so we do, subject to that, and I always have to put a caveat in for it, but we're poised to have the greatest growth of any large country, I think any country that there's been. When you look at what's happening in the United States, it's really amazing.
Thank you. One thing that maybe keeps you up at night, I know you don't sleep that much anyway, Mr. President, is the debt. The U.S. debt is high, is not the biggest expenditure.
And you added to it with all the tax cuts.
Budget. How to get out of that impasse?
Well, the big thing is growth. Growth is the way. If we grow like this, we go from having a $37 trillion. We go from having high debt to low debt. But we also are cutting expenses, the old-fashioned way. And we have extraordinary growth. I think we're going to be growing our way out. I think we're going to be paying off debt. We're taking in tremendous money from tariffs fairly. And again, I'm using them judiciously. Switzerland's a case study. I could have gotten much more. I could have asked for much more. But we're using them judiciously. But I think growth, most importantly, and then cutting costs. Now, if you take a look at Minnesota.
By the way, why is nobody raising hell besides, I see Thomas Massey posting about it. Trump took oil from Venezuela, sold it, put all the money in a secret offshore bank account that just he controls for whatever.
$19 billion in fraud and other things. People going to airports, they came into the country, they don't have 10 cents, and they're leaving with hundreds of thousands of cash in their bags. When we get to that, and our DOJ, Pam, and Todd, and all the people that
the fraud is going to fix the national debt.
Work over there, and all of the people that work in here, I can tell you, Scott Bessenger's working.
Even the program I'm in, I told them not to worry. So you guys know that we're part of a program where I work at the rebuilding the campground where we were hit with Helene so bad. I live there, obviously, but I also work there. And that program is funded through grant money or whatever. Even the program I'm in, they're freaking out. I told them, like, hey, we're in a red state. They're not going to bring up they're not out here looking for fraud in red states. This is a blue state thing that they think they can win political points with, right? But we had to produce a bunch more things and sign a bunch of things and more inspections and more people coming by, blah, 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 just because they're afraid that someone's going to accuse them of fraud and get the whole thing shut down without any evidence, just pointing fingers.
On that, it's a priority, right? You have a whole team. We're in there looking for where this money is coming from, how much it is.
Are you Somali? If you answered yes to that question, I can introduce you to a guy, okay?
It could be more than $19 billion. Can you believe that? That's just one state. If we were able to cut out 50% of the fraud, 50%, and we should be able to do better than that, we would have a balanced budget without having to talk about even growth. So we have a lot of options, but we're working very hard on that. That's a big deal. It's not just the protests, the fake protests done by agitators and professional insurrectionists. That's what they are. They're professional troublemakers. But we are looking
of course,
to in Minnesota and other places.
I think, Mr. President, also the $500 billion invested in artificial intelligence and the frontier technologies last year also were driving growth exponentially in the U.S.
AI has been a big factor. AI is massive. Mark Zuckerberg showed me a plant where he put it over a map of Manhattan, and it was basically the size of Manhattan. This is not. I said, you got to be kidding. It's a plant that was miles long, miles wide, very high. I don't think it was as high like the Empire State Building, but it was high. And it literally covered most of the island of Manhattan. That's called a big plant. And, when I heard they're going to spend $50 billion building, and I said, if you spend $50 million, you can build a nice little shopping center. If you spend $500 million, you can build a good shopping center. But how do you spend $50 billion? When I looked at this thing, I said, you think you'll be able to do it for that? It's amazing when,
$602 billion deficit.
Some of the plants that I see, and I see them all.
For the first 3 months of 2026.
Electric generation. This way we have no problem. And otherwise they'd be complaining. There'd be nobody able to, we have an old grid system. And not only that, they're going to sell at a very cheap price the excess electricity that they create back into our grid. So that'll solve some problems for certain states that don't have enough electricity.
We also know that on the AI, there is fierce competition between the U.S. as the largest.
I hate Trump for free.
Economy in the world, 27% of the global GDP and 5% of the global population, not doing that badly, and China. And we know that competition is very tough on AI. I know you're heading to a state visit to China in April. How do you see the U.S.-China relationship moving forward? Are you able to combine this tough competition with also collaboration?
So I've always had a very good relationship with President Xi and with President Putin. Talk about, the larger powers. But I've always had a very good relationship with President Xi of China. He's an incredible man. What he's done is amazing. He's highly respected by everybody. And I do now. Now I have. It was very severely interrupted by COVID. I used to call it the China virus, but he said, do you think you could use a different name? And I decided to do that because why should we have a problem over that? But I would do that. And they
were a true diplomat, huh?
I became a diplomat for the first time. Well, taught me that Marco Rubio. He said, let me teach you about diplomacy. Hey, any guy that gets approved by 100% of the votes, think of it. He got
The New York Times. How so? Well, I don't know. You compared Donald Trump to a third world dictator yesterday in an interview with the New York Times. How so? well, I don't know about a dictator. I said a third world strongman. He's running for president, so no matter what, he won't be a dictator unless our republic completely crumbles, which I don't anticipate it will. But yeah, here's what happens in many countries around the world. You have a leader that emerges and basically says, don't put your faith in yourselves, don't put your faith in society, put your faith in me. I'm a strong leader, and I'm going to make things better all by myself. This is very typical. You see it in the third world. You see it a lot in Latin America for decades. It's basically the argument he's making that he single-handedly is going to turn the country around. We've never been that kind of country. We have a president. The president is an American citizen who serves for a period of time, constrained by the constitutions and the powers vested in that office. The president works for the people, not the people for the president. And if you listen to the way he describes himself and what he's going to do, he's going to single-handedly do this and do that without regard for whether it's legal or not. Look, I think people are going to have to make up their mind. I can tell you this, no matter what happens in this election, for years to come, there are many people on the right, in the media, and voters at large that are going to be having to explain and justify how they fell into this trap of supporting Donald Trump, because this is not going to end well one way or the other. He's going to be the nominee and he's going to lose. Or he'll have thrown this party into its most chaotic and divisive period ever, and that's unfortunate, because the Republican Party is the home of the limited government free enterprise movement in America. And if it crumbles or it divides or it splits apart, it'll be very difficult to elect candidates that hold those views at any level of government until we can bring the party back.
I will never quit. I will never quit. Let me tell you something. I will never quit. I will never stop until we keep a con man from taking over the party of Reagan and the conservative movement. He's a con man. He's a con man. He's a con man. I'll tell you why. Number one, look, people are angry and frustrated and scared about the future. Okay? People are working harder than they've ever worked in their lives, and they're running in place. And he swoops in and is taking advantage of that. He's taking advantage of that. He's telling people, I'm going to fight for the little guy. I'm fighting for the working class. Here's what he doesn't tell them. He has spent a career in business, 50 years, sticking it to the little guy. Sticking it to the little guy. When his companies went bankrupt, the first people that didn't get paid were the subcontractors, the plumbers and the pipe fitters and the people that laid bricks and all those people that work for a living. They didn't get paid. He got his money. They didn't get theirs. He's going around telling people, I'm fighting to keep other countries from taking our jobs. What is he talking about? You ever bought a Trump tie? If you buy a Trump tie, you're not just getting a tacky tie. You're buying a tie made in China or in Mexico. He portrays himself as the strongest guy on illegal immigration. That's fine, but Trump Tower was built by illegal immigrants from Poland, who he paid $4 an hour, 12 hours a day. Okay, a judge found that he was involved in a conspiracy to defraud these workers of their pay. Even now in Florida, he has a hotel or something down there, and 300 Americans have applied for jobs at that hotel. All of them got turned down. Instead, he brings workers from other countries. He acts like he's some sort of tough guy. He's not a tough guy. This is the first guy that asked for Secret Service protection. First guy. The other day he told the protester, I wish I could punch you in the face. Donald Trump has never punched anyone in the face, okay?
Insane, dude. Insane.
Do it. If he builds the wall the way he built Trump Towers, he'll be using illegal immigrant labor to do it.
Such a cute soundbite.
But no, it's not a soundbite. It's a fact. Again, go online and Google it. Donald Trump, Polish workers. You'll see it. The second thing about the trade war, I don't understand, because your ties and the clothes you make is made in Mexico and in China. So you're going to be starting a trade war against your own ties and your own suits.
All right. You know what?
Why don't you make them in America?
No. They devalue their currencies.
Well, then make them in America.
Well, you don't know anything about business.
Well, make them in America.
You don't know anything about it because you're a lousy.
Well, I don't know anything about bankrupting 4 companies.
I don't know anything about
starting a university. A fake university. A fake university.
That's called.
There are people who borrow $36,000 to go to.
He did have to pay over $1 million when he defrauded a bunch of Polish workers of their funds, a lot of them illegal workers, for Trump Tower.
University, and they're suing him now. $36,000 to go to a university.
By the way,
that's a fake school.
By the way,
and you know what they got? They got to take a picture with a cardboard cutout of Donald Trump.
And by the way,
that's what they got for the $36,000.
I want to move on. They actually did a very good job, but I've won most of the lawsuit. Senator, I want to bring in my colleague Maria Celeste. Let me ask you, am I allowed?
They worked 12-hour shifts. The Polish Brigade, it was 200 workers working demolition. They called them the Polish Brigade because all of them were from Poland. They worked 12-hour shifts, 7 days a week, no overtime, to demo the thing that was there before Trump Tower.
To respond to this, you've been responsible.
The laborers were paid $5 an hour or less when they were paid at all. Some went unpaid after the contractor had financial troubles. A few never received even the paltry sum that was owed to them for their dirty and hazardous efforts preceding the construction of Trump's monument to his own wealth.
No, I haven't. I really haven't.
He's fucking the whole thing.
Here's a guy that buys a house for $179,000. He sells it to a lobbyist who's probably here for $380,000, and then legislation is passed. You tell me about this guy. This is what we're going to have.
Here's a guy that inherited $200 million. If he hadn't inherited $200 million, you know where Donald Trump would be right now? Selling watches in Manhattan.
I'm wrong. That is so wrong. We'll work on that. I took $1 million and I turned it into $10 billion. I borrowed $1 million. I borrowed $1 million. I turned it into $10 billion, more than $10 billion.
As soon as I step foot into the Oval Office.
I have to say, he lied this time. He lied. 100%. 100%.
You lied about the Polish workers?
Yeah.
You lied to the students of Trump University?
38 years ago.
He lied 38 years ago. All right, I guess there's a statute of limitation on lies.
Here's what you didn't hear in that answer. And this is important, guys. This is an important thing. What is your plan? I understand the lines around the state, whatever that means. This is not a game where you draw maps around.
But he talks like I do. He's just I can understand. He's not afraid to be blunt. He's just like me. I can vote for that.
Got liberal Democrats and radical right Republicans to approve him. He's the only one. The next one was like lost 45 votes, right? But he got all 100 votes voting for him. And at first I wasn't happy about it. I said, wait a minute, I don't like that. And now it turns out that the Democrats probably wish they didn't do that. And Marco has been fantastic. Marco, stand up, please. You have done a great job as Secretary of State. He's going to go down as the best Secretary.
He was standing up, Trump. God damn, don't call him out.
Of State. And Scott, and we have Susie, who's the first female chief of staff, and she's the best chief of staff too. And I see Howard Lutnick, who I know spoke, and Howard's fantastic. Some of the deals we're doing are great. And I want to pay particular attention because we have Chris, and Chris, you got up and spoke. I think he's the #1 oil man in the world, because I was going to put Doug Burgum, who's fantastic. I don't know if Doug's here. Is Doug here? Doug Burgum is fantastic. He said, sir, there's one man better than me. And he introduced me to Chris, and he turns out to be. So we're drilling more oil and gas now than we ever have by almost.
Lies. We're shutting down rigs.
Is that right, Chris? And on top of it, we got a lot coming out of Venezuela. So anyway, so we're doing great. The country is just doing great. We have great people. Thank you. And I see other people. We have Steve Witkoff. We have Jared. I got so many people. I'm in trouble because when I go back, they're going to be people with long faces. Sir, you didn't introduce me. I got so many people. And we have a lot of the greatest people anywhere in the world.
I think LNG is expanding, but that's because he lifted the export. I mean, less of it than ever is going here.
I know them all. So
not than ever. Less of it than under Biden. That's why the prices are rising.
You, because we'd be here all day.
Thank you, Mr. President. We also know that you're a deal maker, and then maybe coming back to Greenland and Ukraine. What kind of deal in the end do you see between the U.S. And Denmark? Because I guess you see it now as a negotiation going on, or?
Well, it's costing Denmark hundreds of millions a year to run it, and Denmark's a small country and wonderful people, but it's very expensive. It's a very big piece of.
That's why everybody said around here too. He talks like us. He understands us. I like the way he addresses people. He's blunt. He's not he's an outsider. If he can run a business, a country's got to be run like a business.
ICE. And it's very important. I mean, I don't want to repeat the speech, but it's very important that we use that for national and international security. That can create.
The guy thinks he resurrected the word groceries. If that tells you how fucking out. I like my suitcase.
A power that will make it impossible for the bad guys to do anything against the perceived good ones. And it's a great block for Europe, just like, Denmark was supposed to spend hundreds of millions of dollars. They didn't spend the money. They didn't spend anything almost. And we'll see what happens. I just say this. NATO has treated the United States of America very unfairly. We never asked for anything. We never got anything. We actually took care of the needs of NATO for years and years, which I thought was always unfair, so I got NATO to pay because they're rich countries. But I think it's time that NATO step up. We're helping them with Ukraine. Without us, I think Putin would have gone all the way. I think we have it. I think that could have been a World War III, if you want to know the truth. If Kamala was elected, or Joe, any one of those, those thinkers, I think you could have ended up in World War III. And
does Santa see the twinkle-linka lights?
So Steve Witkoff has been incredibly but we're not going to have World War III. We want to get it stopped, but we're not going to have World War III. I think if I was elected, I think that could have evolved into World War III. It was a very, very bad situation, and it still is, but it's not that kind of bad. It's bad because so many young people are being killed.
How close do you think there is on an agreement on Ukraine? I had the pleasure of speaking with Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner yesterday. I know they're working hard on it. I know that they're also traveling now. Do you see this very close or still?
Well, I hate to say it. I thought that was going to be so. I settled 8 wars plus, and I thought that was going to be one of my easier ones. Not the easiest. Some I settled in a matter of hours because I'm good at that stuff. The United Nations should be doing this. I shouldn't be doing it, but it doesn't matter. It's got to get done. Saving a lot of lives. We're saving millions of lives. With Ukraine, Russia, there's tremendous hatred between President Zelensky and President Putin. That's not good. That's not good for settlements. We know from dealing. There's abnormal hatred. With that being said, I think Russia wants to make a deal. I think Ukraine wants to make a deal, and we're going to try getting a deal done. Steve, I think I can say that we're reasonably close. But what happens is oftentimes we'll have a deal with Russia. Russia's set, and President Zelensky will not do it. You saw that when he was in the Oval Office. I was not happy. And then we'll have President Zelensky wants to make a deal, and Putin doesn't want to make the deal. It's a very difficult balance, and it's big time, and it is, to use a word, it's a bloodbath. It's horrible what's happening. It's a drone war. The drones are killing, thousands of people a week. Thousands. We have to get it stopped. So I believe they're at a point now. I'm going to meet with President Zelensky later today. I believe they're at a point now where they can come together and get a deal done. And if they don't, they're stupid. That goes for both of them. And I know they're not stupid, but if they don't get this done, they are stupid. So I don't want to insult anyone, but you got to get this deal done. Too many people are dying. It's not worth it.
President Sisi is sitting on the first row here. He spoke earlier today and also complimented you on the Gaza deal. I think there will be a signing tomorrow. Of course, there are different views on this, but how important do you think this signing is on the Board of Peace? And do you think this is going to sustain? Do you think we now will see Gaza reconstructed and the billions of US dollars invested?
I do. I think we have peace in the Middle East. There are some little situations like Hamas, and Hamas has agreed to give up their weapons. Now, they were born with a weapon in their hand, so it's not easy to do. When they were born with a rifle in their hand. It's not an easy thing for them, but that's what they agreed to. They've got to do it. And we're going to know, Jared, over the next 2 or 3 days, certainly over the next 3 weeks, whether or not they're going to do it. If they don't do it, they'll be blown away very quickly. They'll be blown away. We have 59 countries that are part of that whole.
Why talk about?
And some of those countries aren't even they're near the Middle East, but they're not in the Middle East traditionally. And they want to come in and take out Hamas. They want to come in. They want to do whatever they can. There's a problem with Hezbollah in Lebanon, and we'll see what happens there, but that's a problem. But there are these little flames, but there's peace in the Middle East now. Had we not gone in and knocked out with those big, beautiful, we just ordered 25 brand new ones, the latest and the greatest, the B-2 bomber. They went in there at 2 o'clock in the morning with no moon, no light, no nothing, and every single one of those massive bombs hit its target, 100,000-pound bombs hit its target, every one of them. And then on top of it, from a submarine 300 miles away, we hit the sites with tomahawks, which is an unbelievable weapon. So, we did our job. If we didn't do that, you would have never had peace in the Middle East. And the countries like Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Qatar could never have, and others could never have signed anything because you would have had this dark cloud, and the dark cloud was Iran with nuclear. Iran, if we didn't take them out, they would have had a nuclear weapon within 2 months. They were very close to having the nuclear weapon, and we hit them hard. And it was a total obliteration. They may try again, but they're going to have to try from a different area because that area was obliterated. Incredible thing we did. And because we did that, we were able to make peace. If we didn't do that, I would say, Jared and Steve, if we didn't do that, there was no chance of making peace because the
Right, got to protect Israel.
I just named, and other countries could have never signed up. They were afraid. They were afraid. We had a bully. The bully was Iran, the bully of the Middle East. They used to call for years. They were the bully of the Middle East. They're not the bully of the Middle East anymore.
Mr. President, I know you even had to change to a plane last night, so I guess you didn't have much sleep, but I think but your energy is still there. I know you have several bilateral meetings. I know you're also hosting.
Yeah, it's called Adderall, bro.
A reception. So thank you so much for coming back to Davos. Thank you so much. It's highly appreciated.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, very much.
Sir, would you have seen a unilateral attack over? You say you will use force, but how the other means? You guys know.
That's Davos. That's what I got for you guys. He's 100% on fucking Adderall, dude. When I was in the military, there was times that we could get what's it? Provigil, modafinil, something like that. That's the medical or the generic name. He's 100% on Adderall. They just pump him full of it before he goes out to speak to somebody. Guy's fucking insane, dude. You hate to see it, chat.
The president spoke for a very long time today to reporters. I mean, there's a lot to pick through, but I just want
this was wild.
A brief sampling of some of those moments.
The Somalians, you know what they're good at? That's about the only thing they're good at is they're good at pirating ships at sea, big ships. So what ICE does, and Border Patrol is incredible. I mean, Paul Perez and that group is incredible. Mostly Hispanic, by the way. They're like 60% Hispanic. You know, they talk about Hispanic. They're mostly Hispanic, right? And they're unbelievable people. And then they say, oh, we discriminate against. I love Hispanic. To me, a town, it looks better when you have military people. These are big, strong guys, are bad guys. Look at them and they say, we're not going to mess around. Here's the book on accomplishments.
The right wing is now cucking to, yeah, we should have the military in every town, right? Hell, they should go door to door. Make sure all my weapons are registered.
And this is something, I'm glad my finger wasn't in. That's not good. That could have done some damage, but you know what? I wouldn't have shown the pain. Should have gotten the Nobel.
Don't hide it, divide it, Michaela Robertson.
For each war, but I don't say that. I say millions and millions of people. And don't let anyone tell you that Norway doesn't control the shots, okay? It's in Norway. Norway controls the shots.
You told Norway's prime minister.
Are you from Norway?
No.
She looks like she's from Norway. I said, why is it the Gulf of Mexico? It should be the Gulf of America. I was going to call it the Gulf of Trump, but I thought that I would be killed if I did that. I wanted to do it. I wanted to.
Norway controls it.
Now, you can walk right from here to a restaurant, right through the center of town. You can be with your child, with your loved one, with your lover. Your lover's not going to be killed anymore, so you can act like a real lover.
You can act like a real...
Hey. Your lover's not going to be killed anymore. You can act like a real lover, boys.
Right through the center of town, you can be with your child, with your loved one, with your lover. Your lover's not going to be killed anymore, so you can act like a real lover.
Act like a real lover.
You can act like a real lover. I will say, in the president's defense, I once put one of those binder clips on my ear, and it still hurts. And that was at least 20 years ago that I did it.
Yeah, but that was only about 3 seconds of that tape you just rolled, and it was this carnival of free association and self-indulgence.
The president spoke for a very long time today to report.
What the fuck is wrong with him? The most powerful man in the world.
Some of those moments.
And he can't sleep. He can't sleep after his fucking after they pump him full of Adderall all day. So he sets up and fucking just shouts out of the void on Truth Social all goddamn nights. 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. He's like, Ilhan Omar, she's going back to Somalia, boys. Like, what the fuck? Did y'all see this? The elderly dying woman gets into a fucking prison fight. Gets into a goddamn prison fight. And I'm trying to find it. I know that. Let me just do this. I can find it quicker this way. It fucking starts choking some bitch. What's this? So she's up at the top. I'll show you when I see her. I think it's her right there, but we'll make sure. Yeah, that's her right here. Okay. And she's going to try to put this cart in that closet. Someone else comes to pull the cart out of the closet, and then watch what happens. So she opens this door, moving the cart, starts pulling the cart in the closet. Right? This lady says something and then starts reaching for the cart and starts pulling it out. Now watch Tina. Starts choking this bitch. People forget Trump is a big lover of red flag laws, and as someone who thinks I should be able to get an automatic weapons and a vending machine, yeah. When he's like, I like it when we lock them up first. Take their guns, lock them up first. That's what I like. Pam Bondi, too. Pam Bondi supported all that shit. Thank you very much for the donation. Grassroots. Thank you. I appreciate it for the super chat. I'm a big Second Amendment guy. Yeah. Then she storms off screen here. I'm so glad that bitch is in prison. All she wanted was free and fair elections. Get fucked, dude. She stole her co-worker's credentials to sneak in somebody to steal election data for that fucking crackhead that sells pillows. My Pillow Fight or whatever his name is. Mike Lindell. Get fucked, dude. Fucking insane. All right, let's get something better. What we got here? Don't get your knickers in a twist.
They should follow the law, but let's not.
So what's happening here is they're like, hey, the administration is not following the Epstein transparency law. Like, they're way behind. They didn't issue the statements on the redactions. They've released less than 1% of the documents that were all supposed to be released. Less than 1%. 12,000 documents out of over millions. Okay?
But they should follow the law, but let's not get our knickers in a twist here.
Let's not get our knickers in a twist over child rape. Why are you talking like that? It's insane. It's insane. The Epstein Files is a multinational, multi-generational child and woman sex trafficking ring. So
the non-existent evidence, let's forget about the non-existent evidence because it doesn't exist.
Attitude right now, you're sort of like, well, shucks, devil begun, is just horrifying to me. Every woman in the world that is watching this, why are you acting like you have no idea what's happening here? Scott,
He asked me a question about following the law.
Yes, and what I'm saying to you is your attitude. Yes, and they're not following the law. They're 30 days late on following.
Trust me, that's what woke me up, was trying to go through the administration and the lawyers and Steven Crowder's and all these, trying to go through their evidence and validate that any of it was true. Not a single fucking... I went through claims for months. I thought I was losing my goddamn mind. Like, why would these people come out and risk their reputation and their freedom and their law license and come out here to fucking lie? Every time I try to validate a single piece of the evidence, every bit of it was a fucking lie.
and they didn't explain why they redacted the first things in the first place, which they were also supposed to do.
I know.
Listen,
you
at
have
this
a strong
point, this is
opinion
not.
about it, and
I have a strong
respect that.
opinion about it because it is a
But I think
disgusting
they should do it as
that they are
fast as
doing
they
this.
can.
They are hiding it. It is not the behavior of innocent people, and everything that is in these files is. It could bring an entire house down. And if it has to, it has to. If it brings down Democrats, bring them down. If it brings down Republicans, bring them down. If it brings down princes, world leaders, Hollywood.
All of them.
Bring them down. But what it feels like.
I'm going to take a hard line, stance. And this might be a little bit much for some of you guys. But fuck the pedophiles. That's my hot take. Fuck pedophiles.
Republicans, bring them down. If we bring down princes, world leaders, Hollywood people, bring them down. But what it feels like right now is that there's a giant.
Well, they should follow the law, but let's not get our knickers in it. Who the fuck is this? Scrooge McDuck? Where did they find this guy?
Republicans, bring them down. If we bring down princes, world leaders, Hollywood people, bring them down. But what it feels like right now is that there's a giant cabal of people that do not have to listen to the law, do not have to oppose the law, and they were supposed to do something, then they didn't do something, and now they're trying to have a new law that says we don't even have to do. And what's really
But they should follow the law.
Fucking insane, dude. Let's not get our knickers in a twist. JFK Jr. got called out pretty good. I like this clip a lot.
Notoriety for your skepticism about vaccines. And over the summer in an interview, you said, quote, there's no vaccine that is, safe and effective. Do you still believe that?
He said that word for word. There is no vaccine on a podcast with that weird guy that's kind of like an alien, Lex Friedman. He said there's no vaccine that's safe and effective. And now he's the head of HHS.
I never said that. So stop me. We have the clip. Please play the clip.
I've talked about that the media slanders you by calling you an anti-vaxxer. And you've said that you're not anti-vaccine, you're pro-safe vaccine. Difficult question.
Those ears are not natural. Something's going on. He's mostly alien.
Can you name any vaccines that you think are good?
I think some of the live virus vaccines are probably averting more problems than they're causing. There's no vaccine that is, safe and effective.
There's no vaccine that is safe and effective. Zero.
What I'm saying is that none of the 72 vaccines has ever been tested in a safety study pre-licensing.
So let me ask you if you think it's wise for people to take these vaccines, because you had this to say.
Gets called out again.
On a different podcast about whether people with young babies should be getting them shots. Watch.
For many, many years, I think parents were so gaslighted and they were scapegoated and they were vilified and marginalized, so that even parents of kids who were very, very badly injured knew what happened to their kid, but they were just reluctant to talk about it. And I think now those days are over. Our job is to resist and to talk about it to everybody.
Our job is to resist vaccines and talk about it to everybody. He says if you're walking down the street and I see somebody with a baby, I tell them, don't get them vaccinated.
If you're walking down the street, and I do this now myself, which is, I don't want to do, I'm not a busybody. I see somebody on a hiking trail carrying a little baby, and I say to them, better not get them vaccinated. And he heard that from me. If he hears it from 10 other people, maybe he won't do it. Maybe he will save that child.
They actually call him in the live 72 vaccinations as well. She calls him out right here. There's not 72 vaccinations, 70 doses, and a lot of those I think there's 16 or something.
He will save that child. Do you think preventing vaccines for a child will save that child? Do you still say this to parents today?
What I say again is I had 3 vaccines, Casey, when I was a kid, and
yeah, and your goddamn voice modulator went out like somebody stuck in a fucking microwave. You had a goddamn brain worm. You're not the picture of health, bro. Just because you're fucking roided out on your fucking test and you're doing fucking push-ups and blue jeans. I don't want the vaccines you got.
I was fully compliant. My kids got 72. The current recommendations are, I think, around 77. And
I have a vaccine record for my child, and there are not 77
there are 77 doses. There are 72 doses of 16 vaccines.
16 vaccines.
Oh, that's just a fact.
I'm glad they finally called him out. I held him to it and played clips of like, no, you're fucking lying. This is what you said. And then the last one I'll leave you with, a little bit of happiness. If you want to support the show, you can do it at this link, Just Quick Tools. My other website link is still fucked up, and I haven't had a chance to fix it. We're getting ready for the goddamn snowpocalypse or whatever. But there you go, Just Quick Tools. Any of those links, leave a message. I like to read it on there, even if you donate while we're not live. A lot of people donate after the show. That's fine. But here's one. Here's a good one to go on. Our boy Robbie Roadsteamer. Oh shit. That was hold on.
@knives_just gifted one.
Thank you for the gifted sub to TV Party. There's no fucking way you survive to be a 45-year-old just straddling the fence like Lex. Lex could give whitewashing to Satan himself and still manage to put me to sleep. Yeah, it's so I can't. So the first time I ever saw Lex was like when anybody that Joe Rogan propels into fame, I immediately question. None of his friends are funny. None of his experts know what the fuck they're talking about. Like, it's just fucking wild. And that's where I saw him being pushed hard. Then I went back and he lied about, like, he's like this scientist guy, MIT and shit. He lied about almost all of his fucking background. Now he just sits there in monotone and fucking try to call out goddamn the leader of Ukraine. Like, why don't we just be friends with Russia, you know? Like, why isn't that a thing? Get fucked, Lex Friedman. He's not human. I don't listen to him. Fuck him. Our good friend, Rob. Oh, thank you for the donation, by the way. Our good friend, Robbie Roadsteamer, making friends with some of the local police. So here we go.
When you're on an ice raid, you can't find the words to say. I got a warrant for your arrest. I can't find those words, I guess.
Oh, this is private property? You guys gotta go back to the police station.
Even the cops laughing, dude.
You want me to move over there? This, DHS, this. When you're on an ice raid, there's one. Let him go. He has to get his quota of brown people, or he won't win a trip to fucking Florida.
Robbie Roadsteamer is fucking hilarious. He's very, very, very hard to watch an interview with because he's like the fucking textbook ADHD patient, right? You cannot watch an interview with him. Don't interview him. Don't watch an interview. Watch him out in the protest doing cover songs to ICE agents.
Trip to fucking Florida. He looked like a fat agent too, like snack ops. They got snack ops working out here today, man. Like, look at the sheriffs, man. Look at the state troopers. They work out. Tight asses. This is about the frick blue line.
Thick Idiot gifted Jame Ohio a subscription.
Thank you very much.
Gifted a tier 1 sub
Q
to
Idiot. I
Jame
appreciate
Ohio. They have
He-
given 46 gift subs in the channel.
Oh, shit. 46. Thank you very much. They arrested him. He was dancing and singing in the street. They come out to arrest him. He knew they were coming for him, so he took off running. They started chasing him. He hopped in a minivan with somebody that said, hey, hop in, whatever. They fucking pulled guns on her and drug him out. No, that was the woke farmer. He got arrested. He got detained as well, but his was it at Portland? Was that where he was at? I was thinking about the woke farmer that got arrested. Anyways, state troopers have tight asses.
This is about the thick blue line. When you're
He's amazing. He does amazing cover songs. His name is Robbie Roadsteamer. Here is his interview with Steve Bannon, where he asked when's the next insurrection, bro? When Steve Bannon got released.
Steve, Robbie Roadsteamer here. I'm wondering when's the next insurrection, and can we storm the Burger King after this? Like, can we do that? I mean, doesn't he look great now? We were in Danbury the first month together. He looks.
We were in Danbury prison together.
We were lifting weights and stuff in the weight room. When's the next insurrection? How are we gonna do this and stuff?
It took forever for security to react.
You know what? If I'm leaving, I'm having a good time. He looks like Yoda with AIDS right now.
Looks like Yoda with AIDS.
Yoda Yoda with AIDS right now. Robbie Rhodes screaming, no political violence, people. This place smells like mothballs. Wow, over here, where's the elevator? I'm not even going to get like hors d'oeuvres or something. Get out of here, bro. For sure. Robbie Rhodes.
He looks like Yoda with AIDS right now. Oh, if you're kicking me out, we're going to have a good time. Looks like Yoda with AIDS over here. Oh, he does so good. All right, that's it for me, guys. I got to get ready. Tomorrow's the big day before the storm is either going to hit or miss. I'll be letting you know. I'm in the heart of it. Hopefully, I would rather snow than ice, but if we can just get rain, that's fine with me too. If we get fucking 3 inches of ice, there's not going to be a power line anywhere. And we still haven't recovered from fucking Helene. Like, our shit's still fucked, dude. I live in a goddamn wasteland right now. So hopefully we don't lose power for several more months again. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for being here. Support the show if you want to. That's how I pay for the office, because the office doesn't fit in my RV. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Thank you for the donations and the new people. Shout out to Jen for bringing some people over. We appreciate it. I'm basically here like every night. I'm trying to move my starting time up to closer to 9, but recently I've been starting to 10. And then once I get settled in, we'll probably be going till 1 a.m., 2 a.m., somewhere around there. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for being here. I'll see you in the next one. Have a good night. Love you. See you. Bye.
But I can tell you this about if this douchebag happens to see this particular show, you don't have the
Oh, the camera's not live. Hold on. Let me fix it.
people on this planet by name and tell them exactly who they are and tell them the rest of the world who they are. You don't have the fork and balls. You don't have the balls.
Okay, Scott. Here we go. I think I started some shit.
There we go.
It's about to get lit. Get the place in the
Shout out to the new people. That was awesome. We got to grow the channel again. We got rid of all the maggots. That was a dark time. That was a dark history for the show. We're past that. We're on season 4, boys. Season 4 is crazy.
ain't seen none yet. And they say that I'm a lunatic. Well, listen, bitch, I came equipped with a quick wit and a 6th sense for the stupid shit. Where my true believer?
Mariah is trying to get me to watch. Mariah is literally bugging the shit out of me to try to get me to watch some series, some streaming series about gay hockey players.
Chap eating his chest like he's King Kong, starving for attention. I'ma make your gut burst. I'll be your huckleberry. I can quench that thirst. Baby eating lizard people, alien sex. What's next? Trump in a dress, fucking Flynn on his desk. A retard in a vest, climbing.
I don't know. She's like, you gotta watch it so I have somebody to talk to about it. I'm like, I'll just stick to the gay albino midget bondage porn. Thank you. I have very refined tastes. Okay, stop trying to ruin it.
Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss him off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in them beds, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. I used to find clues too when I was high on shrooms. I found myself a tunnel that led to Jason Q's bedroom. Open his closet, I found some of
his and hers. I haven't heard about that one. Well, actually,
I found myself in orbit strapped to an edge.
Maybe Mariah mentioned that one too. It sounds familiar once I said it out loud.
Baby, and saluted the troops. He's happy on
Chinga la migra. That's what I'm saying.
Wait. Stop. What? I'll get my files.
Thank you guys for the support.
What are you doing? Stop. Fucking stop. Dude, come on. Seriously. This Liv-Ohm's an alcoholic. Oh, give me his. Oh my God. Damn it. Here we go. I think I started some shit. Piss them off. It's about to get lit. Get the place in them beds. You know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go. I think I started some shit. Piss them off. It's about to get lit. Get the place in them beds. You know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Round 3. Down goes Nino. Please say it isn't so. Got him backed up on the ropes, trying to ram it down his throat. Now things are getting rocking. He was doing so well. It's all over. Hands on his shoulders. They ringing his bell. You got Frog News Network doing no damn research. They rework and copy on Cox that came first. 9th inning, 2nd string, and they acting like they know. Hit his ass on stolen bullshit.
Season 4 is the one where I die in a fucking ice storm.
It's hard to sleep at night.
I think that's what happens. I don't know. No spoilers.
These parasites, these leeches, with all their secret meetings, teaching all you fucking cretins about baby eating heathens. Believing in reasons with no meaning is bullshit. Will Bird motherfuckers out here busting the grifts. Here we go, I think I started some shit.
Good night, guys. Thanks, Q Idiot, for the gift of subs and stuff. Appreciate it. Good to see you, buddy. I watched your melody videos or whatever. I just saw a couple more that were on there yesterday, day before.
You don't have those guts because you're a pussy. You're a pussy wearing aviator glasses in your mother.